Hey, it sounds like the last stream, just all over again. What's up with that? Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course After Chat. The chat that your mother might have... Nah, that doesn't work. Hopefully everybody's getting spoopy out there. It's spoopy time. We heard your stories, but Ham Radio's not that spooky. It's true. It's not. Try to jam it in there, but yeah, it's just not that spooky. Feel free to join us on the Discord. You can see all those highlighted blue chats are our friends over on the Discord. Link is in the description. Just remember when you join, give it a couple minutes. We do get bot rated, and so we got to do special things to fight the bots, to fight the robot uprising that could take out the Ham Radio Crash Course Discord, I guess. Alrighty. Hope you all doing well. Hope you had fun in the last hour. I'm going to join the Discord here shortly, and basically how this works, real simple. Discord is a chat program. It allows us to just talk back and forth, and we get a lot of folks in the chat all having a good time talking to each other, talking about ham radio. That's what we like to do. I'm going to do a bit of a switcheroo here, so give me a second, and I will be right back with you. You can all check out my... is that guy still on? Let me close myself off for a second, and we'll turn him on here. No, he's not there. I'm still here. Just hang on. Let's go ahead and hop in the Discord and see what's going on with everybody over on that side.
I like editing in full screen. I got two 32-inch monitors. I want to be able to edit on a full 32-inch monitor on one side while I have all my tools on the other screen.
A friend of mine told me to start using hit film.
Howdy ho, everybody.
Cabri!
Hey, Josh.
What?
Hello.
Cabri.
Oh boy.
0 out of 10 for costume, Josh.
What's that?
0 out of 10 for costume.
Yeah, well, I didn't have power until an hour before we went live, so I said, you know, the fact that I'm even getting on the air is probably good enough. So
You need lights to put your clothes on.
Well, no. So that's the beautiful part about all of this. Is the only room that really got taken out was the shack. The rest of the house was fine. They were moving around a bunch of my circuits to separate out. We're actually swapping over. I don't have a 220 baseline service, so we're adding a 220 box and all the appropriate circuit breakers to go along with it, and that means splitting off a bunch of the ham shack circuit breakers, which is good. But at the same time, most of my shack was offline for, all of the day, basically.
So you had only a single pole to the house? You didn't have two 120 lines going in?
No, we have two 120 lines, but we only had a 120 box. Like the other, they're just not. I don't exactly know what's happening, other than I have to go. I might have to go talk to the power company. I got to talk to my electrician tomorrow. But he said it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. He's like, but yeah, you had some really old stuff in this house, so we're gonna get you all sorted out. And I said, okay, good.
So you're not getting a new piece of equipment that requires 220, right? That we don't know about?
Well, hypothetically, I'll be getting a car charger that will be 220.
More like a truck charger.
A truck charger.
You
But
mean-
who knows at this point, because I'm so behind. I'm so low on the list, apparently.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah, fairly frustrating.
And California's going to let you do that? No, sorry.
Yeah, actually, they want you to do that, right? That's their whole jam now.
No, they want to save the power. They have to turn it off every 2 or 3 days.
But that's the greatest catch-22 about the whole thing, is that they want us to not use the power, but then they also want us to get off of gasoline-powered cars by like 2032 or something like that. So they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
They want you to take the bus, Josh.
No.
That's what it is. They want you to take the bus.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
They want you to pay public transportation.
Los Angeles used to have one of the best public transports in the world, and then they closed it.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Spoopy After Chat, on the Ham Radio Crash Course After Chat here. Thanks so much for hopping in. What we like to do to start things out right on the top, we'd like to say hello to anybody who's joining us here for the first time. We ask them if they're willing to come forward, say hi, and if they have a ham radio question, we'll answer it for them. And it could be over voice, or it could be just on Discord text chat. You just need to type it in the hashtag livestream chat, or just come forward with your voice. So anybody in there in the chat, first time, like to say hi or ask a question, come now. Somebody said they were new here. You got a question? Go for it. All right. Well, then we'll just we'll come back to new timers, or maybe they're all just getting. Oh, we do have one person. X21103111X says hi. So hello. Thanks for joining us on the Discord. Okay, well, we'll come back to that then. Let's go straight to the YouTubers and say hi to all of our friends here in the YouTubes. We have there's Scott, Ham Radio for Non-Techies, right at the top there. How's it going, Scott?
Hey,
Uh-oh.
I goofed there. Hey, Josh, you got to start up Ghost to Ghost single sideband instead of Ghost to Ghost AM, right?
Right.
So, yeah, been an interesting week. I got a video out. I did a video on. Somebody had asked me, a couple viewers had asked about if I did a video on like what radios should you get for POTA.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many out there. I mean, it's whatever radio you got. It means more about the antenna, but I try to give some people some options that were, low end as far as cost and going higher. I think I did pretty well with it. Everywhere from the 100-watt rigs to the QRP type stuff and the CW stuff. But sounds like it came out really, really well.
Yeah. Those top 10 videos and the best blah 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 something radio, those videos are always very popular. That's why they're the watering hole many of us go back to, particularly this time of year. You're going to see a lot of those for the rest of the year, everybody, so hang on to your butts on that one. All right, going down the list. Hey, I see a certain Mike K at MRD in the house. How's it going, man? Never missed a Halloween episode, that Mike K at MRD. Or maybe he did. Maybe he's eating right now and he's muted.
I was.
Oh, there he is.
I was fixing some. I'm reheating. I smoked a pork butt yesterday, so I got some King's Hawaiian rolls and got the pork butt heating there. So I'm gonna make some sliders. And yeah, so I was telling the kids a minute ago. I was out today doing some whisper comparisons between the ATOS and the Tar Heel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm compiling the data now, and I gotta film some more stuff tomorrow. But really, today was just sitting in the park getting data.
Yeah, you're a little low, Mike. You're a little low.
Am I? That's what everyone else was saying. Hang on. How's that?
Oh, that's it. I had to
Told
bump
you
your
so, Mike.
I had to bump your audio like crazy high to get you in there.
Well, I'm going into the mixer and then into the thing, the audio interface. So
yeah,
I just turned myself up a bit too. So who knows?
You're all set.
Blowing everybody out now.
No, you're right in there.
Good.
All
so
right.
yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I'm going out of town on Monday, I think, for a week for some work. So trying to get some video stuff shot and edited before I leave. So we'll see how that goes. So there may or may not be some videos next week.
Well, I'm sure you'll get it in there. You can just do it on the go, right?
No, I'll be working.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to Atlanta to do some work.
B Penguin Fire, congratulations on getting your technician license. Very best of
Very
congratulations there. Yep, right on. Thanks for joining us out there. And now it's time to get on the air. Now you got to passing the test is easy. Now get on the air and have some fun with that.
Hopefully
I realized
he preemptively bought a Baofeng or something to listen to and to play with while you're studying. So
right.
you should be able to get on the air now, hopefully.
Hello, I have a question.
Go ahead, question.
So I was watching your videos on a Slim Jim antennas, and I got me one of the M9 TAX Slim Jims, VHF, UHF.
Yeah.
And I have a Baofeng, and I was wondering, it's 8-watt version. Does that help me transmit, or do I need more power?
No. The reality is that for VHF, UHF, particularly for handhelds, jumping up from 4 or 5 watts to 8 watts really isn't getting you that much. The best bang for your buck is going to be getting your antenna as high up off the ground as possible. Are you planning on just using that in and around town, or is this for using in your home or in your car? What's your plan there?
So yeah, I don't have a mobile rig yet, but I was thinking about just using it to get into my local repeaters because I kind of got some hills around me, so it's really hard for me. I got one of them in Bree antennas, like the longest one you can get, I think, and I can barely get it with that antenna. So if I get a Slim Jim and really high, that might help.
I mean, if you can get it up in the air, sure, but so the best thing you can probably do is get yourself like a collinear ground plane antenna for VHF, UHF, and put that up on the eaves of your home. Get that high up off the ground and get it mounted there, and that'll probably get you into the repeater without much problem.
Yeah, but if you do that, be sure you buy some serious coax.
Good point, Don. Very good point. Yeah, coax is very, very important on the higher frequencies, particularly 70 centimeters. You get a lot of loss in that band.
So, like, you can't just go get like RX6 or anything like from Lowe's.
No, no. You don't want to get 75 ohm line.
No.
You need to get 50 ohm coax.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like LMR 400.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Most people end up with like RG8X in their ham radio setup. I know that's true. If you have the cash, pop for something like LMR 400, particularly on 70 centimeters. It will pay dividends in the long run for you. It's
specifically from ABR Industries.
Specifically, I agree with you, Mike. Oh, we should probably come back around on that. The fact you said that, but. I may be curious of where we're at on that whole story.
Yeah, we might save that for another day, buddy.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
All right, yeah, I hear you. Okay. Let's see. Anybody else in there? Comment. Go ahead. Comment. Is that Paul?
Yeah, it was me.
Hey, what's up, man?
Not too much. Based on the lovely costume that you wore on a Monday night, I was expecting something really historic tonight.
Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Ham Nation, right? You Ham
Yeah,
Nation.
Ham Nation.
Yeah, I dressed up for Ham Nation. I'm telling you. So I went from just if anybody doesn't listen to the podcast, my wife and I do a podcast, Hammer to Crash Course, really easy to find. Anyway, we documented this whole construction process. We've been waiting. We've had a room, our front living room, completely dominated by IKEA boxes. IKEA, you can just walk in there and say, I want that kitchen. And then they go, sure thing, here's the kitchen. And you pay them money, and they deliver all these boxes. Well, that's great, assuming they deliver all the boxes you paid for. In our case, they didn't deliver like 12 or so boxes. And that means that like the fronts of all of our cabinets, like they're just not there. A bunch of other stuff is missing. And we've been waiting since July for these boxes, and they haven't come in. And I finally got done. I finally just got fed up with it. I'm like, Leia, just call them out. Let's do the thing. Let's get it done with. When the doors show up, I'll install the damn doors. It's not that hard to do it. But we got to get on with our lives. We've lost a room. We've got nothing we can do with the house right now. Everything is tied up around this whole thing. And so, yeah, it's driving me nuts. So anyway, we had the guys come out and they started.
Are you putting the cabinets together?
No, the guys came out and they had the cabinets installed in like one day. They were done.
Okay.
Super, super fast. It's already done. Everything's done. But we went from Sunday having nothing to today.
Kitchen.
Brand new, like old kitchen, completely ripped out. New kitchen put in. Just nuts. Just absolutely nuts.
That's fun, though. That's fun.
So the electricians were out here today, and they have been working like crazy, which meant that they had to tear down a bunch of the circuits. And they were like, hey, you're going to be without power for a while. Is that cool? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine until like 3 o'clock. And they're like, well, all right, we'll get you back online at 3 o'clock. Turns out it was like 3 o'clock, and then it was like rolling blackout. So I had the computer shut down on me 3 times because they pulled the circuit. And I was like, guys, I need you to knock that off. And they're like, okay, we're done for the day. We're heading out. So they'll be back tomorrow to swap out the power box and all kinds of stuff. So, so far so good though. So we should be good. And yeah, next week will be brand new kitchen, hopefully.
Damn, you got him out on Sunday?
Yeah, our contractor's pretty hardcore. He's always, we've used him for a couple of projects, and he's like, I need the work. I always need the work. And whenever you need me, you just give me a call. He's got guys that'll show up fast. They're quick. They're efficient. They're really good. His electrician so far has been really good too. Much better than the guy he had before. So yeah, good stuff.
Wow. Yeah, it cost extra to get him out on Saturday or Sunday here.
And no RFI episode coming up then?
What's that?
No RFI episode coming up then if you got a better electrician.
Hopefully not. I did note, though, that they put in a bunch of those can lights, and they're all LEDs, and they're on dimmers. And I did notice that there was some noise, but I'm hoping that once they get the new box in and they reconnect and get the neutrals for everything sorted out, that it's going to be way better. I'm hoping. So we'll see. Okay, well, enough of that garbage. So how's it going, everybody? Let's see. Anybody else in here for the first time that would like to say hi or ask a question? Come forward now. We'll take your questions.
Hey, Josh and everybody. Nate here, KV4RD.
Hey, Nate. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. I've been listening to the podcast and hanging around the Discord for a while now, but this is my first time being able to get on the after chat. I want to ask you about an antenna. I'd actually posted on the Discord, about a month ago when Hurricane Ian came through. I'm down here in southeast Florida and luckily missed the hurricane, but my neighborhood is like the only neighborhood in southeast Florida that got hit by a tornado around that storm and tore down the NFET halfway I had just finished putting up.
Oh, no.
So I'm looking to put something new up. And I bought an 80-meter Skyloop antenna. And I've got the real estate to get the 80-meter up, but I don't have a lot of height. I'm looking at about probably 20 feet above ground level with what I've got right now. Would it be should I do the 80-meter length at that height, or would it be better to like cut it down to a 40-meter sky loop since I'm so low to the ground?
No, just do the 80. Do the whole thing. It's the low to the ground is going to be equally a problem with 40 meters as it is for 80. So there's no point in belaboring that. If you have the wire, if you have everything, do the full thing. Get it as high up as you can and enjoy your radio. That's it.
Cool, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with 80, you really don't. A lot of people can't really get out that far anyway, so it doesn't really matter that you're
good point.
Invis.
Yeah, good point, Don. Yeah, most people can't get like a super high antenna on 80 anyway, so you're going to be talking to local people most of the time anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay.
Question.
Go ahead, question.
Hey Josh, this is Wyatt again. So I have this kind of crazy deal with my house. It's kind of a crappy spot for HF. Let me see if I can find the screenshot. But I was just going to ask you what you thought for an idea on it. I have a screenshot here from Google Maps.
Okay.
With all sorts of drawings. I'm popping it in the live stream right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know when you get it.
All right, I'm watching the live chat. Oh, wait a second. How big is that? How big is that? What I'm looking at, how big is it?
That is probably
like a quarter acre?
A little bit more than that. So the white square is my house. It's about a 40 by 40 foot roof.
Uh-huh.
Red dot is where my shack's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
The red semicircle is my upper backyard. Yellow is lower backyard. Black area is about a 50-foot incline. Green is power line. And that kind of weird looking tan shape is front pasture. Orange is the only tree around my place. Blue is my deck. And do you have any ideas for an antenna for there? Because I really don't have any good spots to hang up like big towers that go across from anything.
How tall is that tree?
That tree is maybe 20 feet, and it's about 25 to 30 feet from the front deck, so maybe about 45 feet from my shack.
Okay. And that yellow circle below the red circle, you said, what is that? Pasture?
No, the yellow is my lower backyard. The kind of a tannish color to the left is a front pasture.
And where the red circle is off the side of the house is where your shack is going to be, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's kind of a 2-story. So up on the top right, where there's that green spot with the power line, it's about 10 feet higher from the bottom side where the red dot is. So it's about a 10-foot difference there.
Could you put up a DX commander in that yellow circle and real short little run of coax into the red circle, which will be your shack, and have the radials all right in there and be good to go?
Maybe. I haven't looked at the DX commander yet. Let me see if I can find it.
It's a vertical antenna, and you know, the way the grounds look here, having a radial would be fine. You just lawn staple them down, and the grass will consume them, if you will, bring them under in short order. Pretty standard, pretty easy. That'd be a way to go. Now, there's a lot of things you can do with land like this, right? You could literally put a tower right outside your shack. Just put up a huge ass tower. I guess it depends. Also, I didn't ask the question. The most important question is, what's your budget?
Jack squat. I'm a high school student making $14 an hour.
DX Commander. Job. DX Commander, done. There you go. DX Commander. DX Commander is an inexpensive antenna. It's going to do great for you. There you go.
And in that orange area, in that orange area there, beverage.
I think that, like, do you have actual animals? Because you called it a pasture, so do you have animals that have to feed in that area?
Yeah, I have cows and horses. Yeah.
Okay, so you probably don't want to do that with the beverage.
Commander's a few $100. Can you afford that?
I don't know. I'm still looking for it right now.
So
just gotta save your pennies a couple of months.
It's Mike dropped the link in the super chat.
You could throw an end fed, hang it somewhere off the roof, use that tree kind of maybe as like an inverted V-ish and run it back down to the ground maybe.
Mm-hmm.
An option. That'd be a hell of a lot cheaper.
Hell of a lot. You're like, well, yeah, I guess. What radio do you have right now?
A 1010 is $40 for the transformer, and then get some 18 gauge poly stealth. Get like 100 feet of that, depending on what frequency you want to go. 140 feet if you want to get 80.
He's just
for
not
another
that high.
40. You're $80.
Dude, my
antenna's only 25 feet.
I'm not saying he won't make contacts. I'm not disagreeing with that.
18 gauge, or is that like 26 gauge?
I use 18 gauge for my house. At portable 26, but for permanent I use the 18.
Right on.
Do you have a problem with building an antenna, or do you just want something that's turnkey?
I've never built one, but I guess there's no harm in trying to build one.
No, now I'm backpedaling myself, and I think Mike's probably putting you on the right course too. Generally, with the DX Commander, you're going to need some help in the sense that you don't have an antenna analyzer. It's going to be a lot easier if you have an antenna analyzer. Yeah, you might want to just go with the end fed. 1010 is a fine option. Mike, if you have a link, drop it for the 1010s, or drop one of your videos that you've talked about them, and you can go check them out.
Yeah, I'll drop a link.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I have to put myself back in the world of being a young person.
You still need an analyzer, though.
Eventually, yeah.
Not many antennas are just gonna come.
Yeah, they don't assemble themselves.
Although the Chameleon LEFS, but now you're back up $200.
Right.
Get with a club. You're gonna need an analyzer for 99% of the antennas you get. So find someone in a club. If there's a club near you, see if you can get a hold of somebody that'll let you either borrow their analyzer, or maybe they can come out for a few hours and help you tune up the antenna. That's probably the better way to go. Yep. You could get a Nano VNA for $50. I hate those things. A lot of guys love them, so it's, but then again, you're more money, so.
Yeah. Christmas is coming up. You can always put on your wish list a Nano VNA or a rig expert if you've got, people who throw some pretty big presence around, but a Nano VNA will actually do just fine. The only recommendation I have is if you have a cheap laptop, hook the Nano VNA into the cheap laptop and use the software there. That makes it a lot easier to use, even when you're out in the field. But, hey, somebody had a comment. Go ahead.
I got one of the Coffee and Ham Radios unfed half waves.
I got 6 of them.
I tried to build it today, and I think I screwed something up. I'm not sure because I'm not getting any readings on it at all.
Yeah, Scott, I bought 6, either 5 or 6 of the Coffee and Ham Radios antennas on the stream that Jason was doing with those guys. Because I'm going to give them away. November is going to be I've often done.
Why they ran out of stock so fast.
Yeah. Well, I do November is the month of antennas, and I'm gonna give away a bunch of antennas in November. The end of the month in November is gonna be a big giveaway.
Well, then there's his solution. He just wins one from you.
He just wins one from me. You know what? I'll get some Nano VNAs too, and we'll give those away as well.
Hey,
the hell, just go nuts.
Did you get the Apollo?
I don't know. I got whatever one was on the website.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out how much wire I need to cut off, and I don't really have the real estate here to do actual testing in my antenna.
Just go to the park, man.
Yeah, I was supposed to get the poles and holders 22-foot mast today from UPS, and it never showed up, which is annoying.
That's always my solution, is just go to the park. If you want to tune up an antenna and do it right, go to the park, go to a low noise environment, do it that way. It's the best way.
So you use like a throw line?
You can, or you can do. I like Mike's method of just put the end on a fishing rod and shove the fishing rod into a tree, measure it, pull the fishing rod out, snip it, throw it back in, rinse and repeat. It's not an easy process. You're going to spend like an hour, possibly, if you really want to get it high and
I'm
tight.
noticing that.
Mhm.
Definitely the first time you do it, you're going to take some time with it. But that's good. You're learning. You're learning.
Yeah, this is my first NFED half wave I've ever built, so I never messed with them before.
In fact, I've got one of Adam's K6ARK's, the SMA connector one, and I think I cheesed it. I think I screwed it up. So I'm going to take that on the oh, I forgot to mention the camp out. Hey, everybody watching. I'm still doing a camp out with Adam, K6ARK. We're going to Thomas Mountain in November 11th, 12th, and 13th. The link is in the video description. You just meet us there. It's going to be a little cold, so pack warm. Bring your own food. Take care of yourself. But that's where we'll be.
And Adam is doing a soda right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's on 15 CW.
Really?
Soda. Yeah. I just got an alert just a couple of minutes ago.
Right now?
Yeah. 210606 CW. W6/SD-326.
What frequency is he on?
21606. Which is weird. 15 meters. I guess y'all are still in light.
21-0.
0606. Sorry, yeah, 0606.
Yeah, we still have light.
15 meters is even doing good into the dark here.
I hear nothing. He's too close to me always. I've only gotten Adam like Arizona when he's over in Arizona.
He's trying to meet with you.
I worked him on SSTV one time.
So Casade 5 Skis asked a really good question, and Mike and I will definitely have thoughts on this, along with other people. Make sure you guys speak up. They ask, chameleon antennas lefts, lightweight end fed, or Pactena? So I'll go first. Pactena packs up a lot smaller than the lefts, and a lot is relative here, but it is a really light antenna. You can get the 20-40 meter link connection kit on George's website now when they're in stock. It is cheaper than the Chameleon, but the Chameleon is a proper end-fed half-wave, and it will do multiple bands. I've had very good luck with my Chameleon lefts antennas. They're both fantastic antennas. I would give the lefts the nod if it's going to be semi-permanent. You're going to be operating on a couple of different bands, and the Pactena is like a POTA antenna, something you take into the field, use it for a couple hours, pack it up, and get out. Anybody else's thoughts there?
Well, since you dragged me into this.
Oh, I could stop you.
They're both fantastic antennas.
Yeah.
I've had a few Chameleon antennas. Didn't like some of them.
Sure.
But the lightweight end-fed sloper definitely gets the K&MRD seal of approval. It is exponentially bigger and heavier than the Pactena.
Yep.
And I say that lightly. I mean, they're both fairly compact. But
you could still pack both of them, but yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah. I couldn't take my little Carhartt lunchbox and put my 705. Maybe I could put the lightweight end-fed sloper in there. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The Chameleon will probably be more readily available than the Pactena.
Good point. Yep.
It handles more wattage.
Yes.
To me, the Pactena is the perfect portable antenna. There really isn't a better antenna for me than the Pactena.
I'm inclined to agree with you. It's definitely more expedient. I do really like the soda beams, but it's a lot harder to set up than the Pactena.
Yeah, I've only used the soda beams once, and it was great.
Yeah.
But the Pactena, you unwind it. You
push it in a tree.
I've ran it as a 20-meter vertical because I did the linked thing. Well, I did the linked thing, and now George is selling it. So I definitely want to give credit where credit's due there.
To yourself.
You're welcome, George.
You're welcome, George.
Here's another thing. Let me run this by you guys because I don't really like talking about myself, and I want it. So here's not to go a little off track.
Yes, of course.
Somebody asked me for a Mailbag Monday question, and I've been putting it off because I don't like the way that I'm going to answer this.
Mm-hmm.
He says, when did the end-fed half-wave get so popular? And the only thing that I can think of is when I did the video for the end-fed half-wave for Pactena, then everybody started using end-fed half-waves portable. Am I wrong?
No, you know when it got popular, Mike. I'll tell you when it got popular. It was the seed I planted in your head telling you that 9-to-1 isn't it. That's when it got popular, Mike.
Hey, I remember that.
I remember that too.
I remember it as well. But
No,
that was, you were just like, I'm not a 9-to-1 guy.
Yeah, I explained. I'm like, I'm not a 9-to-1 guy. The RF gets into everything. It's a pain in the butt. Half-wave where it's at. There you go. And then Mike went, you know what? I'll think about that. And then you tried it.
A year later.
And then you tried it. And then you told me, you're totally right. You were totally right. So I will take credit for all of this.
All right, maybe I'll answer it. Maybe I'll answer it like that. I'd be like,
No, don't.
I'd be like, it happened like this.
Don't. What happened was. No. I'm sure. I'm definitely sure that you've had definitely effect in all of it. But
it's been around since as long as ham radio, basically.
Well,
though.
but yeah, I think a lot of people kind of did the same thing I did. They all got onto the random wire boat that happened. Like I would say the last time the solar cycle was high, everybody started doing all these 9-to-1 random wires, and we were doing PSK 31 chat, and we're like, wow, this is the future of ham radio. And then as things kind of progressed and we started putting like 100 watts into them, we're like, yeah, this isn't it. This is like creating a bunch of RF everywhere. What are we going to do with all, like how do we improve upon this? And I think people started looking at the end feds just because, again, the simplicity of getting them set up, even at home, right? MFJ's been making end feds for a really long time. So I think it's just, you're definitely a part of it. I'm not taking away from that at all. But it's just a number of people who are kind of all like, this works at home, this works in the field. I'll give a nod to LNR Precision with the PAR end fed. The PAR end fed, just being a, wire, that tiny little transformer for their QRP radios. Those are still highly sought after antennas. It was on the ARRL auction page. I also think just like the kind of dumb setup that Elecraft recommends, which is just take the binding post, put a length of wire out of and a rating element and a radial, and let the tuner sort it out. I think that even kind of gets people thinking about end feds, and then they keep going down the road of like, what's the more efficient way of doing it, and they end up at half wave, and it's like, okay, this is probably the best compromise you can probably make in that space.
You just have such a wonderful way of explaining things.
Well, thank you. Did I? I hope I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irchi Club, I have one of their 9-to-1s, and I got an RF burn off of that thing, off of QRP power.
Yeah, don't touch them.
9-to-1s are kind of funky that way, but yeah, I think the end feds are just a little bit easier to use, a little bit more effective. I don't know, not effective. Effective is the wrong word. I don't know how I feel about that anymore, but there you go. Tan Hat asks, do you know why the left's transformer has to be elevated? I was under the impression that it was a typical end-fed half-wave, but the instructions and various review videos show it only either as a sloper or flat top, in both cases with an elevated transformer. Is there something special about the construction that adds extra bands with a tuner but demands that the transformer be elevated? Having a low transformer with short coax can be so much more convenient outdoors. Thanks. So I don't think that Chameleon has ever said it can't be close to the ground. In fact, I'm pretty sure that their instructions have an example of the transformer being low to the ground. But if you were to ask Carl what his preferred setup for the lefts is, it is transformer high and then sloping down low to the end point of the wire. He believes that is the most effective use of that antenna. Mike, have you tried it both ways? How have you tried it?
I don't think I've tried it with the transformer lower, oddly enough. Sorry, I have a pretzel in my mouth. But there's legit it's straight up a 49-to-1.
Yeah.
There's nothing different at all about it.
Nope.
And I think the reason I got good SWR in some of the bands that it shouldn't have, I was using the MFJ 223 analyzer. Yeah, I found out that thing kind of sucks. So I don't use that anymore. Like, it just gives way wrong readings. And I have 3 of them now. MFJ gave me a couple more to try out, and they're all not accurate.
More.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good.
No. So don't buy the 223. It's bad. It's $400 now too.
That's nuts.
Yeah, get a rig expert.
Get the stick. Get the stick. If you can swing it, get the Stick Pro. It'll cover most of the bands you care about. It'll go all the way up.
They just came out. I saw in the new
centimeters.
QST. There's a stick like 550 or something. I don't know what the difference is. I just saw the ad, but they have a brand new stick.
Is it cheaper than the Pro?
They didn't say the price. It was just the ad in QST. I didn't look. I have no idea. But the Pro, that only goes up to 70 centimeters, but it does all the way down to 2,200 kilometers or whatever the hell it is. The real low ones that we just got.
Mm-hmm.
So and it does it does all the coax tests and stuff like that. The Pro is a fantastic analyzer. So the 551 might not do that. I'm not sure. I kind of just glanced at it the other day when I was going to bed.
Interesting. Well, Mr. Burgles is having some fun in the chat room there, so. Yeah, if you consider it's one of those like nano VNA versus rig expert, what would I rather have? A rig expert. Do I have, can I recommend everybody go out and buy a $400 antenna analyzer? No. Rig expert being somewhere between $50 and $100 and something for a decent one is probably where a lot of people will end up. It's the Baofeng of antenna analyzers. It works. It gets the job done. In fact, it does things that, the rig experts do. Just, a lot can be more expensive. So, yeah.
Hey, Josh, I got a question about that Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
Does it require a counterpoise, or is that optional?
I don't know.
It's optional unless you talk to Abe.
Unless you talk to who? Abe?
Yeah, Smoking Abe. He's one of the designers, and he just always says, "Oh no, every antenna has to have a counterpoise." But
watch my video on it, and it's probably one of the best end-fed half waves that I have made. Not probably, it is that I've made, and the SWR is like perfect on all the bands.
Is that the Artemis or the Apollo? Or are they both the same?
It's the same thing. The only difference, they kind of chamfered the edges a little on the new version of the winder. So, but it's the same thing.
I'm trying. Oh, okay. I'm trying to also figure out how much wire I need at the end of the.
Josh, if you want to chat, I'll keep my finger on Burgle's duty for the next couple minutes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. I've never even seen this before. This is a whole new fun.
Ridiculous.
Oh, it's hilarious. I mean, this is the after chat. What do I care? He didn't do this on the live stream, so hey, at least thank you for that. But yeah. Well, thank you, Evan. I'll let you go on Burgle's duty. Oh, hey, there it is. Wow, look at that. It's yellow. And it's back to the e-ink display, it looks like. UHF in your pocket, 70 centimeter band, 550. So it looks like the Pro, closer to the Pro's frequency space with an e-ink display, which honestly,
the high contrast e-ink displays.
I really do like the e-ink. That's one of the downsides of the Pro is that you don't have the e-ink display. I feel that the e-ink is kind of the way to go with this, except if you're going to be doing a rapid scan, like a constant rapid scan. So. Yeah, I like the yellow too.
I don't find myself wanting for e-ink. I've never, ever had a problem seeing the Stick Pro.
It's not about seeing. It's that the battery lasts longer.
Oh God, the battery lasts forever in the Pro.
No,
anyway.
I know, but still,
I can't remember when I've ever charged my Pro.
Exactly.
I use it a lot. I think I've charged that thing like 8 times. Every time I go out, I take it.
I use mine a lot too, but.
Yeah, the e-ink can be slow refresh. That's true. Jam Scan is throwing the gauntlet down. It looks like win RPR tags me, says, being a little aggressive. I would just like to know, do people do this? Also, the Nano VNA is nice for the price, but this is a robust packet radio thing. Very serial. I'm getting into packet. What is the Win RPR? Jamscan? What is the
apparently it's like robust and stuff.
What is it? What is it?
It's robust packet radio. I think that's what it stands for.
Oh. Okay. You can't just Okay. You can't just give me an adjective and going like, "Oh, it's robust. It's got what ham radio needs."
It's got electrolytes.
It's got electrolytes. I have no idea, man.
It's robust.
No, but
does it make the tea?
It seems to be a thing. So, like, Josh, you should probably do a video on this. It seems to be pretty cool. There's like the Win RPR program, which is like a program that makes a $1,500 TNC obsolete. So,
okay.
Like I don't know. It seems pretty cool. I mean, I don't really know the differences because I haven't really done a whole lot of regular packet radio, but I don't know. If anybody knows about it at all in the chat right here, I would like to talk about it.
Jamscan, you're a little low too. Your audio's like way down low.
That's intentional.
Oh, all right. Well,
mystery.
So, robust packet radio. What does robust mean? It's just a higher bandwidth, I guess.
Let me post a couple links in here and let me see what you say about them.
Okay, I will take a look. Anybody else in there with some questions or here for the first time would like to say hi? Come forward now.
Hi.
Was that side boom? Hi. So that's interesting. Look at this. Okay, so let's pull this up. Saving robust packet from oblivion. Loose lips equals October. What is going on with this thing? So this website is like funky.
I don't think I posted that one, but that's kind of what I was looking at earlier.
Okay, so it's a Windows app.
It's a modem, 300 AFSK, 1200 and 9600.
Okay.
Yeah, so are all of them. What?
Mm-hmm.
And it does kiss. Yeah, okay.
But like, I guess I'm not. I guess I don't know what it means. Is robust packet just means that it's like higher bandwidth, or it's forward error correcting?
Oh, weird. It's not open source.
Oh,
that's kind of what I've drawn my conclusions to, but I don't
so
know.
why the aggressive though? Why are you aggressive about this?
It's just me being funny, dude.
Oh, okay. Well, sometimes my being funny is asking people to explain what they say in the comments so that I can understand what the hell they mean.
Apparently they have set frequencies. There's a frequency list in the about for that.
Packet's kind of that way too, though. Packet generally needs to, we kind of all have to be on the same frequency to be packetable. I'll tell you what, this is one of those things I'd have to deep dive after a live stream. I'm not going to be able to do that right now. I have to look into it after the fact. Oh, it's for HF.
I'm not asking you to deep dive it. I just think that, like, I started to look into it, and it seemed really, really cool. And I was like, well, I wonder if HRCC has a video on this. And
yeah, it's weird and kooky, so I'll probably look into it.
Yeah.
Its robust packet was
Oh.
300 baud packet you can do on HF. Okay, cool.
It uses COM0 Interesting.
like essentially from my deep dive into it is like it'll be able to pick up like digital stuff out of the noise, and it uses Pactor 4 or something like that. But like you used to need to be able to like purchase these modems.
Pactor
from this
modems,
German
yeah.
company. Yeah, you used to like have to purchase these modems. But now there's like the Win whatever it is, Pactor software available, the RPR, Win RPR. So you should be able to just like do that, and it should be essentially free.
I feel like if you're going down that road, you should probably just look into Vara.
Yeah, and the thing about this is if they're developing it and they're not releasing the source code, then it's not going to be free when they finally release it.
I would recommend JamScan. Go with something that's kind of like proven and vetted. I appreciate you're looking into Packet right now, but have you done like WinLink, Vara FM, or Vara HF, for instance?
I have not.
Might want to start there just to get your WinLink fix in if that's what you're looking to do.
That's
Vara
not a bad
AC
idea.
is super
like,
fun, man.
I honestly thought like,
yeah,
like I haven't really done any of this stuff. So, but when I started looking for it, this is what came up. So I just figured I'd give you a, hey, this is what apparently people are doing somewhere.
Someone somewhere is doing this. Yes.
I haven't run across anybody doing that. I've only heard it mentioned in passing. You'll find more people doing the older packet modes and stuff like Vara AC and WinLink peer-to-peer. You'll find way more of that if you actually want people to interact with.
I've heard of like advanced packet, but not robust packet. I'm assuming those are roughly similar. Don, were you going to say something? Go ahead.
The robust packet thing has been like when I'm looking up on YouTube, it goes back like 10 years. And then there's like this SCS company which comes up, and it's like they're still coherent today. So I don't really know.
Right on. What are you going to say, Don?
Oh, I was just going to say I want to bring back packet BBSs.
Yeah, I mean, well, out here there's still a thing. There's probably a good 5 or 6 of them out here that are.
Well, there used to be on HF, and
I see.
Yeah. In fact, they used to do message passing through packet BBS, and it was just kind of like FidoNet, where they would bounce 2 meter, 2 meter, 2 meter, 2 meter, 80 meter, or 40 meter or whatever to jump the ocean, over to UK or England or somewhere over in Europe. And then, the messages would go back and forth that way. It would take days sometimes, but it worked.
I think we have a backbone system like that now because if we ever have an MCOM system situation, are we going to know what to do to get stuff from like California to Indiana, where I'm at? How are we going to do that? Without the government.
I have a comment on the history behind that HF packet bulletin board stuff. I was part of the STA in the 1980s on that.
Oh, all right. Well, go ahead with your comment, and then I'll add my 2 cents, and I'm sure others want to talk about this too. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a long backstory on it, so I don't want to take up too much time here. The longest running amateur radio STA ever had to do with HF packet automated store and forward bulletin board systems. It was honchoed by W0RLI, Hank Oridson, now a silent key, W3IWI, who became K3IO, Dr. Tom Clark, who is now a silent key, and VE3GYQ, who was in Canada and moved down to Ohio, a doctor, David Toth, who's also now a silent key. They were 3 of the major players in that. And what we were doing was a backbone. I was in California, and we were doing a backbone on 70 centimeters up and down California, up into Washington and Oregon, and then out into Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 220 system running to get into the Inland Empire. Um, I had a 70 centimeter to link into the backbone, and then I had a 20. I had a had a giant Kenwood on 20 meters running out to all sorts of other places. So when you walked into my ham shack in California, it looked like the bridge of the Enterprise, and it had all sorts of stuff running with the BBSs on it.
Okay.
Everything kind of came to a head in 1992 at the ARRL National Convention. And what kind of spilled out of that was a rewrite of FCC rules for ham radio that put in what is now become the rules for automated stuff. There's a whole backstory. I'll probably post a whole story on this having to do with what the ARRL originally wanted to do, which was draconian. And we had to convince them, their leadership, that they needed to do something different. So the rules you see now go back to about 1992, 1993. I'll leave it at that. I'll put a whole story together on that.
Okay.
CQ satellite, kilowatt November 4, Zulu X-ray Kilo, Echo Lima 98.
Pete, you got a hot mic, unless you're just memeing.
CQ satellite, kilowatt November 4.
CQ Poda, Kilo 8
I
Mike
muted him.
Delta.
Sorry, Pete.
Wrong channel, driver.
Pete's a good guy. I think he's just.
Pete's a good guy. It's an honest mistake.
Yeah, he just made a mistake.
I've got a comment about
Mhm.
that question about how would we get traffic and grid down emergency situation. I mean, look at what we do here on the southern border here,
right,
with hurricanes. I mean, there's plenty of people that bounce up and are ready to relay messages back and forth for us when we have no grid comms.
Yeah, the only thing about the packet BBS system kind of thing is the fact that it's automated and it's up all the time. So it's not like you have to engage the net. The net's always there and running. And
yeah.
So I mean I totally support having messaging traffic, but one of the things they do in that is they're very, very disciplined about how they do it. And of course, with computers, you're pretty much doing that already. And if you're up and running all the time, then there's less need to mobilize everybody. It's just already there.
Okay, so let's assume that we want to remove the complexities from some of these modes. There's two that come to mind in going back to the original, like a proper SHTF situation. I think I would be JSA call and point-to-point WinLink. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, nowadays, yes, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, we don't have the packet radio network that we did back then, where like just about you could get from any city to any city. So, just like we did with bulletin boards, right? I mean, the dial-up bulletin boards, I did that for 15 years or so. But that was the thing when I first got into radio, which was around 91. That thing he was describing was already up and running, and it was like everywhere. And I was like, oh gosh, this is just like the BBSs I'm running today.
Yeah, there was a question, Mike Kennedy over on YouTube. Josh, how much packet BBS radio have you done? So I made a mistake, and I pulled my Alinco out of the shack, and I put it in my Go box because I thought I would use it more in that case. I have a Cantronics KPC3 that was connected to the Alinco for 2-meter packet. In Southern California, there's a lot of packet stations, and I was running a packet BBS for a while. Packet is still popular out here, just like high fast scan television is still popular out here. I'm probably going to pull that back out and get it up on its own antenna and let it do its thing. I've always enjoyed proper packet radio, as well as APRS. I love APRS. I think everybody knows that, though.
I got a
One of
question.
the pitfalls that we had with the bulletin board system, and I had one PC with about 3 virtual machines in it running, several things to do all this store and forward stuff. One of the pitfalls in that was how AX25 never really was geared to automatically route stuff like TCP/IP.
Right.
And so you look up guys like Phil Karn, and I'm trying to remember the name of the other guy. I think Phil Karn is now a silent key. No, it was the other guy who was a silent key. Phil Karn's still alive. They were, we used to call it the crap Phil is pushing because it was, he was pushing on the TCP/IP. But, people were trying to connect from one packet station and then connect to the next one and connect to the next one for these live QSOs.
Right.
And
of
you
course.
get 5 packet stations out and the system would fail. And with a bulletin board system, you had no method like TCP/IP to automatically route stuff. Guess how we did it? We used zip codes. All we needed to know was the zip code of the destination.
Okay.
And I had tables of zip codes. And if it was going outside of Southern California, I only needed about the first 2 digits. And it would do a lookup. And it knew what station to send it to next. And that's how we routed the AX25.
Yeah, and
That's
I remember,
interesting. Okay.
as I remember too, there were different frequencies that the boards would run on, and so you could forward from one board to another by switching frequencies. Again, this was on, I believe, 2 meters, because I didn't have 440 back then.
Okay.
So I was running 2 meters, and it seemed like there were 2 or 3 different frequencies you could be on depending on which board you wanted to connect to. And then which board you wanted to connect to, they would have different systems that they could connect to.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the thing that really got me on that was the live stuff that he was talking about. I never saw much use in that, but the store and forward is the key. I mean, and again, that's one of the big things in the bulletin board systems that we ran. You would put a message on your board and just address it to somebody else, and then the routing would occur through, in this case, FidoNet, and FidoNet knew how to do it. But the same thing existed in packet radio, from what I remember.
Yeah, that's why we used the zip codes.
Yeah,
we needed the destination zip code because it wasn't TCP/IP. It was AX25.
Somebody's got a question in there too. Let's come for air for a second and let the question come in. Sorry.
So my main question is, do you think that the reason that they used to have these systems set up back then was because, I mean, I've always been told that like 70s, 80s, the propagation was just unreal compared to what we have to deal with now. And do you think that's why they fizzled out, or just because the caretakers have fizzled out?
No, it's because a lot of it was on 2 meters. It wasn't over. And I mean, 2 meter, the propagation is kind of the same. What I think is because, I mean, I know in California it's a completely different situation, but out here
it is.
the frickin' repeater, or the frickin' 2 meter frequencies are pretty much dead all the time. Which I think, like for texts and so forth, as many texts and everything that we're getting new hams all the time, but yet the repeaters stay dead. So I really do wonder, okay, these guys are getting these new calls and all that, and their technicians, where are they going after that? Because we never hear them.
Oh, I thought they were talking about this was on HF. That's where I got.
We did it on HF too, but yeah, it doesn't. It's the same as WinLink, right? WinLink still exists, and I think the packet BBS was a better WinLink than WinLink.
Yeah. I mean, but it's okay. So with the BBS, it's on the BBS station. It lives there, right?
Yeah. So
if you're doing
same thing
WinLink, you're
with
downloading it though.
no, actually, I mean yes, but I don't get like because you could pop mail, but the thing about it is I don't see that as an advantage. You're still going to a server that's holding the message. The fact that it's on a BBS and the thing about the BBSs were that rather than say mail, email that's personally going to Josh, it's email, if you will, like group email. I'm sure at work you've got group
Right.
email where it goes to this group. That's kind of the way the BBS stuff worked.
Right.
It would be a series of people that are having a conversation, and so as you contributed to the conversation, it would then go out to everybody else that was reading that particular,
Yeah.
say, group or whatever.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the packet BBSs are more like private inboxes, but yeah, there is also the public news page that you can post to. So okay, yes, that makes sense. What you're saying? Yeah, I hear you.
Our BBSs had both. The guy who actually wrote the original BBS software was the guy I mentioned, Hank Oritson, W0RLI, and it was the RLI software, and his original version of it ran on a Xerox 820 with true 8-inch floppy drives running CPM. so it goes back a long ways. But what we did was we had the users come in on 2 meters, 220, 440, and the 20 meter
Right.
system we had running under STA was all done to get the stuff out of the local area to its destination.
Right, and then there was one or two or three guys that were doing the HF part of that would carry the thing through HF to they had different cities or whatever that they would be responsible for.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And I knew based upon the zip code and however many of the first digits of it I needed to figure out, I had a table that said, here's who I send it to next.
Cool.
Yeah, and just one more thing. That all sounds complicated, but the thing is that like if you downloaded the software and you would be given the lists and the connection points and all that stuff. So your involvement was like in our case was more I'm running my board and and I'm responsible for getting these files and getting it set up. But then after that, even a lot of the maintenance of it, the zip code lists and all that was all automatically maintained.
Yeah, that's correct. All I needed to know was who to send it to next. I didn't have to worry about who he was going to send it to, and I didn't have to worry about who that guy was going to send it to. All I had to know was what's the zip code and who do I give it to next, and that's who I handed to. We also built in some robustness with, if a station was down, we had an alternate.
I mean, it's if you get right down to it, it's basically a packet relaying system, message relaying system, right? I mean,
exactly.
literally what the ARRL is, right? Is packet is a relaying system. That was why it was developed. So that's what it is over packet, though, right? I mean, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah, because that was my point earlier is that the fact that you're not doing it like by hand by checking into a net and formally passing traffic back and forth. That all of that is the mechanism within the computer that's making the transfer from this guy to this guy, and all you're having to do as a user is get to your local 220 or 2 meter packet board, logging in and doing your thing. That's all you ever had to worry about.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna change hard gear change. This is the Halloween live stream, and if you remember Halloween live stream last year, it was when I spoke on behalf of the cinematic masterpiece that is Mandy, and how important it is for our collective horror movie culture. I always ask on the Halloween after chat, favorite horror movie, if you have one that came out this year. Could be a couple years off of this year, but if you had one this year, I want to hear it because I write it down in a list and I go watch them. So does anybody have an amazing horror movie they want to talk about?
Can it be a Netflix series?
Yeah, for sure.
The Watcher.
Is that the pervy guy?
No, there's no pervy guys. It is the same guy that did that wrote American Horror Story, and I'm not a huge fan of that show, so I was actually surprised I enjoyed The Watcher as much as I did.
What's it about?
It is loosely based on a true story about a family that buys a house and starts receiving really threatening letters, anonymous letters in their mailbox. It's very suspenseful. It's not like a supernatural thriller. It's more like a 7-episode long suspense, mind-bending, confusing, but overall very enjoyable series.
I think you're like the second person or third person that's recommended that, so I'll have to go watch that. I think it's something my wife would like a lot.
I think so too. I don't know. Somebody recommended it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, what the hell?" And I went into it with minimal expectations, and there was a little bit of campiness to it, but it's self-aware campiness. If you're okay with that, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I told my in-laws to watch it, and they don't like hardly anything I like, but they were like calling my wife and like, "Oh my gosh, this show, we binged it in 2 days." So I thought it was a good watch.
Okay, I will have Leia sit down and try and watch it with her. Leia, God, if you had to watch TV with Leia or it would be very difficult to get something that we would both sit down and watch. Leia will watch something and either do one of two things: fall asleep or immediately get on her phone. Me, I'm a very intent watcher, but you lose me very quickly. Like if I get any, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. If something doesn't have it, I'm gone, and I'm doing something else. I'm literally out of the room, gone. So yeah.
I felt like stuff started happening pretty quickly. It didn't have like a episode and a half build up that a lot of these things do. It stuff starts happening pretty quick, and it keeps happening. So I'd say at least watch the first episode. If you're bored to tears or it's not holding your interest, move along. But I think it'll hook you pretty fast.
Okay.
And did you ever hear the true story though?
I did. I researched the true story after I watched it.
Yeah, Mr. Ballin does a real good job of telling that story, by the way.
Post a link because I've only read the story, so if you can find it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it because it's way back in his back catalog. I heard it like 3 or 4 years, and that's actually one of the reasons I don't watch the movie is because it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, I wonder. I mean, I know where they got this, and that's kind of I don't know. It seems kind of silly, but anyway, I might try to watch it and see.
I heard Midnight Mass is really good too, really good, really really good. So I have that on my list as well. So thank you.
Hey, if you want to lose 2 hours you can never get back, check out the new Hellraiser.
Oh, I'm such a big fan of like the first 3 Hellraisers.
Yeah, the first 3 is where they should have stopped. Everything after that is absolute crap.
Once Clive Barker was out of it, it was kind of like, yeah. I mean, you guys do know that he was kind of the brainchild behind this whole concept, right?
Now, 2 other movies I really like is Devil's Rejects and most recently the newer version of House on Haunted Hill.
Oh, the remake, the Return to, right? Is it called the Return to?
No, it's just it's a total remake. The original one had oh God, what was his name? He was like the master of horror.
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price. Had Vincent Price in it. So the newer one has a whole bunch of other people in it, and it was good. It's just really freaky and a little gory, and it was good. And of course, Devil's Rejects. How can you go wrong with Rob Zombie?
Yeah, I had to turn that off really quick. I started watching it earlier today, and then the kids came home, and I was like, "Ah, crap! I can't."
Yeah,
watch
it's not
it.
a kids movie.
No. I tried to watch the Night of the Living Dead, the original, and we barely got to the main female lead getting into the farmhouse, and my youngest kid was like, "This is too scary. This is too scary. I can't watch it." I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna turn this off."
Do you remember the original Creep shows? Creep
Those are
Show and
great.
Creep Show 2.
Yeah, those were really good. Wasn't
Cheesy
Leslie
for the 80s,
Nielsen
they
in
were
one of
good.
them?
I'm sorry?
Leslie Nielsen was in one of the first one,
I think
right?
he was in the first one, yeah.
Yeah, they were good. Red Letter Media did a whole video series on the Creep Show videos. They're really good. They're really good.
I'll dig back a few years to 2019. Robert Eggers, director, has done a number of things. He did The Witch.
Yes.
He also did Lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
Yes. Lighthouse, that is very good.
That was weird, but it was really good.
It's not a horror movie, but Witch is good. The Witch is definitely a horror movie. I would put that on the list.
Yeah, I classified The Lighthouse as a horror film because of kind of what happens in it, but I don't want to spoil it. But I'll dig back even further to a German director, Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
And his go-to actor, Klaus Kinski. They did a remake of Nosferatu the Vampire in sound, a scene-for-scene remake of the original Silent.
Oh.
And so if you want to see a good vampire movie, he did an outstanding remake of the mother of all vampire films, scene for scene.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll have to look that up. James K. asked, Josh, are you a gory horror or creepy horror guy? Probably definitely creepy horror. But at the same time, I like gore when it's good. And oddly enough, Emblehog Gaming mentions one of my favorite gory horror movies, which is The Thing. The practical effects in The Thing are some of my favorite practical effects in horror effects in movies. The John Carpenter's The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies.
That movie still creeps me out to this day.
I love it. I love the when the Thing gets all the dogs and they made like that flower petal, and the flowers are actually dog tongues. If you go back and look at it's so good. It just amazing. And so and what an interesting cast. Like Wilford Brimley's in it. He's awesome. It's a fantastic movie. Fantastic movie.
The practical effects in that are what make it look so real, as opposed to the stuff they use on
real artistry. Real stuff. Yeah. It's like literally artistry. Like they're physically sculpting these things. Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's as opposed to the CGI stuff, which when you start looking at it in 4K and stuff, you can tell it's CGI. But
yeah,
in that movie, it looks very real compared to the CGI.
You know, another really old movie that was really good was The Entity with Barbara Hershey, I believe.
I haven't seen that.
That'll flip you out because it's based on a true story, and she gets just the crap beaten out of her with some unseen force. It was really, really good.
It turned out the unseen force was her husband.
Yeah.
Because if it was truly an unseen force, then we would have been talking about it.
Yeah, if you like, truthfully, if you like creepy stories, you really should watch Mr. Ballin. I'm telling you that guy picks stuff out that
on YouTube, right?
Yeah, he's on YouTube. He's also on TikTok, and
but don't watch the video Don just posted till after you try the Netflix series, because it'll probably ruin it for you in 40 minutes instead of all the build up of 7 episodes.
Yeah. The thing is, this is one of hundreds of stories that he does. Now, some of them are things like top 3 places that you shouldn't go, and people went anywhere.
right.
Anyway, and they're horrors. They're literally stories of people, in industrial accidents in a lot of cases, and it's just like that. Those just creep me out to no end. But he does things like this quite often, where. And he does like the last one he did was a UFO thing where this guy went into the woods and he was he was prospecting, and this thing flew up on him, and he thought it was a plane until it landed, and uh, it was glowing purple, but in kind of saucer shape, but he went up to it anyway. Long story short, it shoots out this beam into his stomach, and he gets really dizzy and really sick, and then ends up having to go walk 2 miles back to the uh, uh, hotel that he was at, or to his car, and then drive to the hotel. And then anyway, he ended up having to go home. And by the time he got home, he was so sick that his kid had to take him to the hospital. So when he gets to the hospital, then he basically has to tell, why, or what happened. What's this strange burn on your stomach? And they're running all this tests, and they can't really find anything. Anyway, turns out so he ends up telling the story, and it basically ends up then ruining his life because nobody would believe him. But people have gone out to the site, researchers, etc. They detect strange radiation, all kinds of stuff like that. So
sure.
But anyway, I mean, this is me shortening the thing up to a couple of minutes, and he does it for like 30 minutes, going through the whole story.
Oh, dude. NDRU last Halloween costume. Nice costume, man. That's a good costume.
But
Saturday Shabbos. Or what is it? What is it? Oh man, I'm ruining it. Oh, that's a good one, man.
Hey Josh.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Have you heard of McCamey Manor?
No, what's that?
Oh God!
It's a haunted house in Nashville, Tennessee that will pay you $20,000 if you can survive it.
That's like the violent one.
Yeah, it's got like a 40-page disclaimer that can literally beat the piss out of you.
No.
If you live through it, you get 20 grand.
No.
Oh, except Scott, I was reading about that and watching videos about it, and some dude who was like a Marine in Special Forces went through it, and he got through like 6 or 7 hours of challenges or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, you're not looking so good. For your safety, we're gonna stop." And like, he was fine. He was coherent. Like, he was a little shaken, but like, he was fine, coherent. His vitals were okay. And so they're saying that there is not actually any money in it. Because nobody's ever completed it, and he got closer than anyone else, and they shut it down for his safety. But I watched just that part of it. There's some stuff edited out, but like, they showed the part where they're talking to him, and he's sitting on the ground, and like, one of the challenges, they like doused him in ice water or something like that, for like, basically they got him close to hypothermia. But he came out of it and was talking and coherent and like starting to argue with them when they told him he was done. And yeah, it's brutal, and I don't think there's any actual money.
It's kind of a bummer considering what they do to people in that thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're all making money off of it, off of all the publicity they're getting. I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
I haven't figured out how they do make money, because the reason they're allowed to do what they do is because it's considered a charity. There's a list like a mile long to get in, and the entrance is like, you have to buy dog food, because the guy like adopts dogs like crazy, so he has like 9 dogs. So that's your entrance fee. Is like,
do they make YouTube
a bag
videos?
of dog food? Yes.
There's their money.
There you go. I still find it hard to believe that you're supporting all the extravagant crap. I mean, they have to hire like 8 or 9 employees to do that, because they like, it's a 12-hour ordeal.
How many views do they get?
That's a good point. I haven't looked.
It's Halloween. Halloween is like so many views. There's so much people watching Halloween stuff. People want all year to be Halloween.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, what's up, man? Shane's in the house.
Hey, yes, I've been here.
I know, but I didn't say hi yet.
Oh, hi, Josh. I met an interesting fellow this morning. One of your friends.
One of my friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about my friends.
I met Mr. BB.
Where did you meet BB?
At TRW.
No way. I missed TRW because the construction. I was gonna go. Damn it! I was so. Oh man, was it good? Was it good?
It's about the same as it's been in the last several months.
Okay.
But I did get a smoking deal. I bought a Panasonic Toughbook CF30 for $20.
Oh, that is a good deal. Where's our man?
And it's extremely clean.
Uber Geek.
Uber Geek's not here. Oh, he's gone already. He would have been very proud of you.
It would have been a really good deal if you got one that doesn't smell like smoke.
Yeah.
This one does not smell like anything.
You got a good deal, dude.
A smoking deal.
Even though it doesn't have a battery or a hard drive or caddy, you can get those.
Yeah,
anywhere.
That's easy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like super clean.
Nice. CF30 is a good laptop. Really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have one, and now I have two.
Well, right on, man. So, what was BB like? What'd you guys talk about? Did you mention me?
Of course.
Oh my God! What did he say?
He said, "Oh, that guy." Everybody knows Josh. Who doesn't know Josh?
Yeah, he and I the last time I got to hang out with him in person was when we all went down to Anza Borrego, the low desert, and they did a camp out there. Those guys on that repeater are so much fun. They're like the coolest guys. I really do.
Yeah.
I really should. It's kind of tough because like none of them want to be on video. Like none of them want to be on a YouTube video.
Well, you said that's for the freedom of speech guys.
Yes, they very much are. Yeah. BB definitely is. And I support them 100%. But like none of them really want to be on a video. So it's kind of tough for me to be like, "Hey, I'm going to vlog this whole thing." They're going to be like, "The hell you are."
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, you can just blur their faces. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, you know how much time that takes to do that crap? Ain't nobody got time for that.
Do it like a mid 2000s Dateline interview where they're like a silhouette and you alter their voice.
Yeah, or they do the they're all blurred and then they take the hot lean in to get the mug and then you see their face and they go back in.
You need to use Resolve, Josh. You could do that pretty easy.
With the
it's not hard. It's just more things to do. No, sensor's easy and keyframing's really easy. You just keep advancing the keyframes and move the block.
You don't got a keyframe. You track it all.
Final Cut will track people's faces. You can actually do a blur thing,
Resolve,
and it'll do their face. Like it'll just track it automatically. It's kind of cool.
Final Cut will do it, man. I haven't had to do it in so long. I guess. Okay, I'm sure. Why wouldn't it? But yeah, all right.
Did you see Ham Radio Clubhouse this week?
Mm-mm.
That's what you should do to instead of blurring faces, do that. I mean, I posted a link to Don Izzo up in the chat. Look at that, and I mean, he and Joe Brett were going after it. I don't think I've laughed that hard for that long.
But Don was enjoying being the windmill.
Oh yes, way too much. And I didn't capture the windmill, but I mean, if you go back,
he's in the chat. Windmill. K5, he's in the house. K5YVI or YVY.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's in the chat.
Mr. K5YVY. That one?
So, Scott, I think you'll like Mandy. You're of a discerning palate. You like The Devil's Rejects. I think you'll like Mandy. Mike KNMRD he can't hang with the quality of horror movie that is Mandy.
That movie sucks.
It's so good. It is so good.
It sucks.
The music
is
the
fantastic. Movies that I just posted, the Return to Bloodfart Lake and Zombievers. Return to Bloodfart Lake sucked. It was bad. It was really bad, but it was funny. Like it was
really, I had high hopes for that after you posted it.
The picture is the best thing about the movie. Zombievers, however,
that's pretty good.
Is zombie beavers and then just gratuitous hot chicks in bikinis at the beach at the lake.
Trailer is pretty.
So grindcore.
What's the hate?
Mhm.
No, it's kind of in a league of its own. But Mandy. Oh man, I knew this was going to come up when Josh started this. Mandy was the biggest
It's a tour de
pile of
force.
garbage.
It's a
other
tour
than
de
Cheddar
force.
Goblin.
Cheddar
Other
Goblin
than
is
Cheddar
Goblin is the best thing ever.
No, that movie sucked. I wasted.
It's so good.
I just watched it and it was really good. It was
I
really
loved
good.
it.
Nicolas Cage.
No.
Nicolas Cage does a good job.
It is possibly one of Nicolas Cage's best movies. It's that good.
Is it on Prime?
I don't know. I cannot tell you the imagery of Mandy and the music, the score for Mandy is just so good. It's so good.
I guess. All right, boys, I gotta hit the road. I'm getting tired.
Okay.
Hey, Mike.
It's only downhill from here. I can
Yep,
tell.
that's it. That's it.
Well, if you want to
Mike,
dig back a few more years, you can watch Shadow of the Vampire. That's a fun one.
That was fantastic.
That is actually a funny movie. Yeah.
And then another good one is I Sell the Dead.
Sell the Dead. Huh.
Which is about zombies and body snatchers.
Nice. Those are good.
Hey, Mike, before you go, I was going to say I got my DX Commander up, so love that thing.
Ah, fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, I've gotten more DX in the last 3 days than I had in the last year. It's ridiculous. So
Oh, imagine that.
You sold me on it. Now I just need to get my ATAS 120 fixed, and I'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm really loving that antenna.
I don't know what happened with it. I was talking on it. In fact, I was trying to get you, and then all of a sudden my SWR.
Here it is. My fault now.
Well, no, but then my SWR went through the roof, and I couldn't get it to tune. I took it off the truck, and it was making rattling noises. So I figured that's not a good sign.
Could be the ball bearings. If it's
Yeah.
rattling. That's about the only thing in there that would rattle. And they're not hard to replace, but when you take it apart, be careful because they're small and they'll be lost forever. So
Well, it's
don't
only
do it over
about,
carpet.
It's only about 11 months old, so I'm going to try and send it into Yaesu. And it's got one of those void if removed stickers on it, so...
Yeah, there is that. So, yeah, that sucks because it's literally... It's probably maybe like a 3-minute fix. But it'll take 3 months if you send it to Yaesu.
Really? It's that bad, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard pretty...
Yeah, I heard if you peel that sticker, it tunes the radio.
Well, I stopped at HRO today, and I got a mount to put my Tar Heel back on the truck, so I'm probably going to go with that. And yeah, I got the ATAS because tuning a Tar Heel while driving down the road in a semi truck is kind of a pain in the butt.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, even with I had one of those ones that had the memories where you could put it in a certain point, it'll go back to it. It would never go right back to it. And it would always be just slightly off, and it would drive me up the wall.
I have that problem with my Tar Heel, but if I have the ATOS, it just
push
the tune button.
Yeah, the ATAS is fine. I was talking about the Tar Heel.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Which is why I got the ATAS, because the ATAS, you just hit the tune button, bam, there it is.
Oh, easy. It's so easy.
It is very nice for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now, I'm actually using VNC to go into my computer at home, which is hooked up to my 7300 and the DX Commander, and I'm doing FT8 that way.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Well, sitting in a rest area in North Carolina, it's awesome.
That's great.
Wait, so which radio was bad and needs to go to Yaesu?
It was the antenna, the ATOS 120.
Ah, okay.
In my truck, I have an 891.
I have to run to the restroom. I will be right back.
All right. I'll see you guys later. Happy Halloween and all that good stuff.
Enjoy Halloween. Be safe.
Hey, Mike.
Hail Satan.
33, Mike.
Tis the season.
Say hi to Satan for me. Give her a
Satan
good
is sleeping on the king-size bed right now, so perhaps I'll go wake him up because that's the evil thing to do. Shit, he does it to me at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Hey,
Do it
turnabout's
to him
fair
at 2
play.
o'clock in the afternoon. All right, guys. We'll see you. We'll see you next week probably.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Speaking of the 891, what's a good digital interface for that radio?
Digirig.
Digirig.
All right, yeah. I already have one of those. I guess I just have to get the
It's just going to explode.
The only drawback with the DigiRig is you still need to use 2 USB cables on the 891.
Nobody uses cat control. I swear. Why use cat control? It takes 2 minutes. Just like 30 seconds once you switch bands. I never use cat control in my
You've
891.
never used WinLink, have you?
No.
Or
you need
ALE.
Cat control. Or ALE for that
ALE
matter,
is for masochist.
But, otherwise it just has the audio cable for the DigiRig. I mean, if you can live with that, then more power to you. You just need the 8-pin to the stereo jack.
And you can use the USB with the 891, right, for the brig control?
Yeah, you just use a regular printer USB cable with a ferrite on it and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, and just using the DigiRig for audio.
Yeah, I just run
It's-
DigiRig into my own cat control.
It's way better than the USB signal link. It's way better. It's smaller. I think the audio quality is better, and USB-C for the win.
So I mean, it's overall. So I've had a couple different interfaces. It's just easier. So the XGG comms are great cables, but like I don't need a 7-foot cable. The DigiRig is nice. It's coiled. It's nice. I can also work with it in my FT60 with a different cable. And then I have like maybe a 6-inch or 8-inch USB-C to USB-C that goes to my Surface. We ran it at Pack Beach just 2 weekends ago. Worked great. And you have to set up drivers or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love my 891 for mobile and portable. At home, I use my 7300, and but the 891's a good radio. It's weird that it only does the cat through the one port because it has that second port. God knows what it's for.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm already using my DigiRig for my G90, and I mean, I have mixed results with that. So I guess I just need to get the cord.
I mean, yeah,
that would be the G90.
Let me see, because like it's in long. I think that.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
has
Like,
been
I
wrong.
love the G90 on CW and sideband, but I just, it's a kind of a pain on a digital.
Yeah, it
The
is.
G90 was my first radio for HF, and I still have it. But yeah, for digital stuff, it is a pain in the butt. Mine works okay with the DigiRig, but when I was using, because with the DigiRig you don't need that CE19, but whenever I was using that CE19, that thing was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, no, that thing is, and I don't like the CE19, and you need it for the 100-watt amp, and but I will say, it is the DigiRig has given me mixed results because I've used it on both a laptop and a desktop, and whenever I use it on the laptop, I just get a ton of issues. Like it's just weird.
Booming.
Is it what's it doing? Is it like disconnecting or
noise?
Noise.
Well, like,
Ferrite the crap out
there
of.
is some. Yeah, I mean, well, I got the DigiRig USB-C cable, and I mean it does okay, but also like what I found is like for some reason it just overdrives the radio for some reason.
Well, that could be your laptop has really bad USB ports. Would be my guess. I have some issues with one of my laptops putting out noise. Well, actually, it's my Microsoft Surface notebook, which is what I mostly use for digital modes. But I just got it's a Surface 7 Pro or whatever the newer one is. I've only had it for about a year. I mean,
Mine's never had
it works
issues.
great, but using the USB-C ports, so I still have to use a USB-A. So I use I have a USB-C dock thing, And whenever I use that, it just puts out a ton of noise. But I got that ferrite kit from Palomar Engineers, and I used the big old ferrite on that, and it seems to have fixed it.
Interesting.
Someone on YouTube wants to know about the Q900.
Well, go ahead. What do we know about it?
I don't know anything about it. People have said it sucks. I don't know.
Well, is the Q900 that that a Lewis copy SDR with no VFO?
Yeah, it's the Radiodity. It's the Radiodity.
That's the one that TechMind's got like 1 billion views out of doing a review on that thing, right?
Well, yeah, but that's he was doing the review on the version 3, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, he did do it on a version 2 as well.
Yeah, I saw that video. That looks like a cool little radio, but dang, is it?
It looks like a piece of crap. It's got no VFO, man. Like, this isn't a military radio. What are you going to do with that thing?
Yeah, but of course it's a military radio. What do you want a VFO?
That's what I'm saying. It's not a military radio.
I want a military radio. You set the frequency in the morning and leave it.
Yeah. All you're gonna do today, all you're gonna do is CQ contest, right?
Well, yeah, but you need a VFO to CQ contest.
Yeah, but you have an app on your mobile phone for changing that, Josh.
Yeah, but again, it's not a VFO.
Radio Deluxe to change.
You just wipe your finger in a nice circular movement and it
Mike,
changes the VFO.
Mike, you're just effing with me, man. Come on.
No, seriously, there is an app that does that.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah,
$630. Jesus Christ.
Come on, if my radio doesn't have 30 valves in it, I'm not doing it right.
No, I mean, I'm not going to go that far, but like I do want a VFO. Like I do want a VFO. I'm still pretty like for HF. No, you know what? I want a VFO for VHF too. I'm not as worried about it as like being a big old knob. I do like again, for all the British viewers, I do like a good knob on the radio.
Well,
so, yeah.
But Josh, for a man who got most of his viewers doing Baofeng videos, you can't exactly throw shade at TechMinds.
I'm not throwing shade at TechMinds at all. His video's good. I'm just saying I don't like that radio because it doesn't have a VFO. And that a Baofeng is VHF. It's not the same thing as HF. It just isn't. It just is not the same. We don't use it the same way.
You can say that about Flex. There's no VFO on a Flex, is there?
That's what I was going to say.
It's just a front panel. It's got nothing. It's just an empty space.
But you could plug in a dial. You could plug in a dial and use that.
Yeah, but I don't. And
$100.
Sun SDR, same thing. The Hermes Light, same thing. I don't run VFO.
You can buy a $49 controller from Martin Lynch that does exactly the same as the $500 Icon one.
So, all right, let's talk about this for a second. All right. So, Sun SDR, that whole concept. You're using the touchscreen and a mouse, right?
No, I don't use a touchscreen. Who can afford a touchscreen?
No, I mean, you're using the mouse to click on the waterfall or do whatever you're going to do with that.
Who the hell uses a mouse? I use a trackball, dude.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
He uses a trackball, Granddad.
A pointer.
Yes.
But you've got a waterfall that you're clicking on.
Right.
And then you could use the wheel to get, like, fine-tuning.
I
argue that that's closer to a VFO than anything. That's still VFO land. You're still in that space. The radio, what is it? The G600? What is it? What G900?
Q900.
Q900. The Q900, it has a waterfall that you can look at, but you can't do anything with it. It's not a touchscreen. It's like the G90. So you still have to have these independent controls to change the VFO.
But then what Mike is saying is that from your phone, you can do what I do on the Sun or the Flex or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it has some kind of app. I wouldn't like to. I don't know if it's good, mind. It does have an app, as far as I know.
I wonder if there's a way to use that ICOM VFO USB thing and like integrate it with
the $500 RC280.
Hey, I mean,
I've got it, man. Right? It's fantastic, but it is way too expensive. It's way too expensive.
There's a company on eBay that sells remote controllers for all the SDRs. They're like a plastic box with a big thingy on the front.
Oddly enough, a ton of like synth operators, electronic music enthusiasts, like the dial controls, a lot of those little boxes that we use that are USB work with SDRs. It's not DJ equipment, but
MIDI controllers?
Yeah, MIDI controllers are actually like really a lot of SDR equipment works with MIDI controllers.
Well,
sorry, Don, go on.
Well, there's one for the Hermes that it's literally built out of a Raspberry Pi and some parts with the knobs and all of that stuff. That some bitch is $600.
Yeah, it's the one they sell at HRO, right?
It's what?
I think HRO sells those now too.
I don't know. I haven't seen them. They also come for the Onan radios and some of the other SDRs, and they're just I can't believe how expensive they are for being just a Raspberry Pi. Now, granted, now Raspberry Pis are probably $600, but this was back like several years ago. Even they were $600 for the little. I mean, basically, what it is, it looks very similar, although thinner than the S-Bit X, and they charge $600 for it, and I'm like, I don't get it. But a lot of the cost in those things is literally the knobs and buttons and the pots that are in them.
So, Josh, actually, speaking of that BFO knob and ICOM and RSB1 and all that, do you know how to set that up? Because I've got it working, but I can't get cat control remotely. I can do it in LAN. I forwarded the 5001, 5002, 5003, and all that.
Yeah.
But when I connect to it, I can see the radio, I can hear the audio, but it will not pull the frequency data or anything from the radio.
Do you have do you have all the right ports poked through on the router?
Yeah, the 50,001, 50,002, 50,003 are the ones that it said in the manual.
Okay. That should be it. If you follow the instructions, then that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a setting on the 7300 I'm missing or not.
Do you have a computer connected to it? I assume you have to.
Yes, I do. I'm actually on the computer right now. I'm doing FT8 like through a remote desktop, but I just like if I do it on the LAN in the house, I can get everything to work. It connects. It works just fine. But as soon as I try to do it through the internet,
yeah, so you don't have a port. Then you don't have the ports open correctly.
Okay, well I
literally
UDP.
But literally what you just told me proves that you don't have the ports correct.
Can your router do UPnP?
Yes, it can do UPnP. I have the Google Home router, and I set it up. I did do UDP for 5001, 5002,
Not
or
UDP.
50,000.
Just do UPnP, and universal PNP. It should just say, "Hey, I need these ports open," and it'll come back and say, "Okay," and unlock the ports for you.
Well, I do have it enabled, and I also manually forwarded the ports too, so I'm not sure. It's weird. Maybe like I don't know.
But hear me out. You know, because you said that it works fine when you're at home and you're all on the same LAN, it works perfectly. And then you go away and you try and remote in and it doesn't work, then it's literally something to do with your port forwarding.
Right, I got an idea, and I'm sorry to all the sysadmins in here.
Yeah.
For what I'm about to suggest.
Here we go. Cardinal sin.
Throw the PC that you're needing to into the DMZ for a small period of time, just to see if it works. Because the DMZ will guarantee you're wide open to the internet, but you don't have to port forward.
Yeah, I mean, I can try that, I guess.
And especially if you got remote access to the router from, like, say, wherever you are now, throwing in a DMZ for 20, 30 minutes, you may make every sysadmin in this chat right now cry, but it will roll out Josh's claim of it's port forwarding, because you're not technically forwarding any ports at that point. You're basically outside the router. So if that doesn't work, you're screwed.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
it could
I
be
was
like
actually-
an ISP thing, but I don't know.
Too.
I was actually incorrect in that I said I connected it on the LAN. I meant I connected it on the computer that it was on. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
because I was able to get it to work that way, but when I tried to do it over the network, it was not working. Granted, I didn't try to do it over the network when I was at home on a separate computer, but like if I do everything and I do it like through the USB cable, it works just fine. But when I try to do it over network, it just, I don't know, it won't work. So that's what led me to believe it may not be something on the radio end, that it's just something my network is doing weird, because I do have a weird network.
Does anybody want a cheap stick 230?
Holy shit.
Oh, it's UK
Okay.
though.
$300.
No, it's not. It's just because I'm looking at it through UK eBay. It's that's an American company. That's Henry Radio. They are the maintenance company for stick for reg experts in the US.
$300.
That's like $60 off.
Speaking of, how is Rig Expert doing with everything that's going on? Are they still in business, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I really like their analyzer I got, and they're in the Ukraine and all that.
Rob Mack says the person with the problem can DM me in Discord. So Wes, I don't know if he's talking to you specifically, but I think he might be.
What was his name?
Rob Mack. He's in the live stream chat. And then Aiden post a picture of a radio. Is that the back of the Q900?
No, that is the Anon.
Oh,
Crazy
look at
SDR.
that. What? Why?
He's trying to trigger our livers into making Don say.
What is going on with the connections on that? It can't do SO239?
And I wonder why it has a clock in,
because it could take an external source. That's great.
Well, for $3,000, it doesn't have a good internal one.
Dude, a stable clock can be really expensive.
Is that for direction finding, maybe?
No, it's for a stable clock.
I'm talking about the radio.
Where's
radio
Don?
itself.
Let Don yell about that for like 15 minutes.
Sorry,
He'll tell you all about.
I had to go to the restroom. What are y'all talking about?
Well, somebody was complaining that the Anon has a stable clock input for 10 megahertz, and we're like, dude, stable. I said stable clock being external is good. That's good.
All the expensive radios have one.
Yeah, because
and by the way, the 9700 doesn't, and it sucks. That's why. But the thing about it is that on the stable clock, what it does is, especially with transverters, which this takes, it locks that frequency down, because in the higher frequencies, especially around 440 and up, you need a very stable clock, like to track satellites and stuff. You really need that stable clock to know you're exactly on frequency. So when it's telling the radio to go to this frequency, it's actually on that frequency and not off. And that's what a stable clock does. We use those, by the way, in all of our telecom applications. Otherwise, you would not be able to make a phone call to your significant other or whoever you're calling, because the channelization would fail between all the different channels that are being carried by that radio, because it wouldn't be able to break it down. So a GPS DO is what it basically is, which is a GPS disciplined oscillator that uses a 1 PPS signal from the satellites to lock the frequency.
But at cell frequencies and the gigahertz and that, yes, that's going to be needed. HF to 6, do you really?
Chris, that takes transverters. That's what it's for. That's the reason it doesn't come built into it.
Yeah.
Transverter, that could do it.
Have you ever used a 706 and then trying to do the 2 meter sideband and find that the local oscillators going all over the place?
Well, let me hit up the chat comment. Emplohoid Gaming
I
said,
haven't yet.
for that price, it should have an atomic clock. No. No. So you guys got to keep in mind, like, there's a point where the radio companies shouldn't put more features in the box. And the price you're paying for that thing is the right price for them to bring it to market. And adding more features into it, if they're like hamstrung, shitty features, you don't want that. If you need a solid time source, like that accurate of a time source, then it's a lot better for it to just to say, here's a port, give me the valid time, let me get out of the way and do the right thing. So no, we shouldn't put like that kind of accuracy into the radios necessarily.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to say this, but
okay,
what Pete posted in the chat is exactly what you have to do to the 9700. The 9700 actually has a 10 megahertz frequency input, but unfortunately, it doesn't tie to the clock, so it doesn't discipline the actual clock. So you buy this board instead in order to get the or to have the input for the GPS, whereas Flex Radio, Sun SDR, Onan, all of these more expensive radios have one that will actually discipline the oscillator. So you 9700 users, beware. You're going to pay for the radio, and then if you're really going to use it, you're going to need one of those too.
I'll just wait for the 710.
Well, I just got a Flex radio, so I don't even need that thing. I can do the same thing 9700 does. I don't.
He's saying all the catchphrases for Halloween. Everybody's getting drunk.
Drunk already now.
You're damn right.
Everybody's getting drunk.
I'll just wait for a 905.
Hey guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Shane.
Sorry, I just have a quick question about my end fed. I just made an interesting discovery. I don't know how this happened, but somehow the wire coming from the toroid to the center pin of the BNC is going to the ground lug for the counterpoise.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's how they
happened.
work. That's how.
Is that how they work?
Yep.
Because when I put my NFED on my analyzer does not see it at all.
With the wire up in the air?
With the wire, I mean, tied off to like a rope on a distant tree that's part of a swing.
Your analyzer can't measure it?
It doesn't measure it at all. It doesn't even see it.
Is this something you just built, or is this something you've been using?
No, I built it today. It's a picture I sent you earlier.
You might have something built wrong then.
That's what I was thinking, but I can't figure out what it is. I'm using my multimeter to do continuity.
You know the twisty bit at the bottom that comes out.
To the
you're
wire?
Supposed to, with the loop on that you're supposed to solder to the middle of the BNC. Yeah, and also to the to your thing. There should be a link between the two. If you don't put that link in, it won't tune.
A link other than the capacitor that it comes with?
Yes, those two should be joined together.
So
it seems counterproductive, but it should do.
Via the capacitor, though, right?
No, it's not via the capacitor. It's because people cut the link. They make that first loop, right? They do the 2 turns. They make that first loop, and then they're supposed to join the whole loop to the middle, and then join the other earth end to the counterpoise. And they don't. They cut the link and join one half to one side and one half to the other, and it doesn't work. That is what they actually said on the live stream last week when Ham Radio 2.0 built one.
Yeah, Jason built it. Yeah.
Yeah, he built it. He said, "I'm going to put that link in afterwards." So whatever you do, don't cut that loop. Join it to the middle of the BNC. Then add then put another wire from the middle to the earth point, the counterpoise.
There you go.
I see. So
just go look at your instructions again on the build and make sure you follow it.
It does tell you the right way to do it on the instructions.
Yeah, follow that.
On the QR code that you scan?
Yeah.
Oh, Josh, for an extra $1,000, you get the SO239 connectors that you wanted. Don't worry.
Seriously? For the Onan?
No, there's probably a lot different, but I'm just saying the more expensive one has the...
You know what the Onan has that no other radio has, right?
A bidet.
No, it has adaptive pre-distortion, which Rob Sherwood says is the best radio out there.
Yeah, no,
best transmitter.
I'm not like.
Or an extra $100 Don will come round and show you how to work it.
Hopefully, yeah, there you go. If Don will travel around and tune everybody's on for you, then I would be in for that. I would be in for that.
You really, I mean, it's built in. You don't have to tune anything. It just works.
No, I know, but I want you to show me the ropes on it, Don.
Oh, sure, I'd be glad to. Just buy me one. And by the way, I want the 8000 DLE. That's the 500 watt radio.
How 500 watt? 500 watt radio?
Yeah, go look at the link. Go look at the link that I posted.
The one you just dropped, the Apache. Oh, it's the Apache Labs one. Yeah.
It's $3,795, but it is a 500 watt SDR transceiver. And by the way, it runs off of 48 volts, not 12.
Oh, that's free.
What kind of power supply do you feed that with?
They sell one. It's only $500.
Yeah,
the
course.
thing is,
Sold 80 of them.
the truth is that I have 48 volt power supplies from all my years at in telecom. So I've literally got one here in the desk that'll run that radio. I just need the radio, but they're not. The waiting list on those is like tremendous. In fact, I think Aiden just posted it. The waiting list for it.
Well, I think we should all pick them up. I think that's obviously the way to go.
It's not as bad as a Lab 5.
I wonder if British Telecom would remind me having British Telecom would let me plug mine into the 48 volts that comes out the wall.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's a British company. Maybe it's just a British company.
That's an Australian company.
Actually. Oh, okay. Well,
British Telecom. Are you kidding?
It's the same concept.
It's 4 times.
No, I mean, all them old-fashioned pot phones work on 48 volts. So I mean, come on, just plug it in the wall. It'll work, right?
That's it.
Mike, the way they work, actually, they run off 6 volts, not off of 48. 48 is the internal equipment in the central office. Yeah.
I'm a telecoms engineer. Spent 25 years fixing 50 volt telephones.
I am too, but I've never seen a phone run off of 48 volts.
The English ones run on 50 volts.
Okay, well, you're not going to find those around the United States.
I fixed American phones. I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole.
Whatever you
Western
did,
Electric would never put one out into a customer's home that ran that much voltage.
They're 50 volt.
Whatever you did at 50 volts, I did just as well at 25.
Well, see, they put out a ringing signal. Yeah, the ringing signal was 75 volts peak to peak over here.
Yeah, ours was only 6 volts.
No, the chips there's an internal
what are we
regulator that drops it to.
What are we fighting about?
But they are 48.
Telecom.
This is the volt rabbit hole.
Yeah, if you
48
volts, just get a PLE injector.
The original ring down was
Put your tongue across the phone line, Don, and see what it is.
I know what it is, Mike.
No, that's not the one that comes out of your internet-provided phone line. The old-fashioned one.
Mike, how long have I been around? I've been around almost as long as you have.
No, you've been around longer than me. You're older than I am.
No.
Here we go.
Well,
the original ring
I'm only 25. I just look like I'm 70.
90 volts at 20 hertz. That's what rang the bells in the phone.
Let's just go.
Anyway, enough of that bollocks.
We'll go dig up Ma Bell from the grave and find out.
Yeah, I don't know what we're all fighting about. We're all going to get the $3,500 on radio, and it's going to be our new future.
I'll just use a PoE injector and blow at the first transmit cycle.
Right. Exactly.
If you actually got one, you'd be glad you did.
I'm not. I would like to remind everybody, and in fact, I'll change scenes on this just so that I can really emphasize the point. Everybody, I've said this so many times on the after chats. I used to do something, and we all did it. At least most of the kids I know of did it. Magazine racing. We'd go get our copies of Hot Rod, and we're like, the Camaro SS can do the quarter mile in 13 seconds, or a Mustang, the Shelby Cobra Mustang can do it in 13.2. So really, it's just going to come down to the driver. The driver's going to be the differing opinion on all that. Rob Sherwood's page, the Sherwood Report, is an amazing website, and he has an amazing process for testing radios. But guess what? Almost all the time, the radios in the top 10, if not top 20 on receivers, your human ears can't even tell the difference between them. You're literally comparing things that only robots can understand. So it's like, just enjoy the radio that, like, you have the money that fits in your budget, that is nice, that you like to use, and that's the radio you should use. It's great if it's on Sherwood's list, like you can lord that over people, but you shouldn't. I mean,
there's some people.
But some people
Well,
say.
Well, there's some people that will like. You can go look at the Sherwood and say, yeah, the 7300 is higher than the 891. But I have seen some people say they can hear better on like an 891 versus 7300 side by side. So again, Sherwood is not always the end all be all, especially if you're not a contester.
The point remains is that, like, it's really more about the user interface that you like. That's the reality of it. We're not building radios like we used to back in the days, like where kit building was the thing, and then you had to literally make your radio. We literally can take our hard-earned money, go into a store and buy a thing, or buy it online, and really it just comes down to user interface, user experience. That's what you should focus on. That is the most important thing.
There are some things that are literally different from radio to radio that I think do need to be pointed out. But and so I mean that's one of the reasons I really that me and I'm sure a lot of other people watch you and all the other YouTubers for. We like to see the differences in the radios, and it's not what Rob Sherwood's producing. It's for instance the and I will say this on the Anand because I've experienced it. The noise reduction on that thing is like nothing else you've ever heard. It's the closest thing I've ever heard to perfect noise reduction. Now, the Sun is fantastic, much better than, and all jokes aside, much better than the Flex. And then I've got a 101D. Oh man, beautiful deal. And we've got bots.
I got them.
Okay. And so, there are features and things on the radios, and to me, noise reduction is very important. So is filtering, but especially being able to have, work with QRM. Like, I don't know if Evan's still here, but he can tell you about last night. So you never know on the HRCC net last night, having those contesters come in right on top of us and having those filters you can use those filters in some cases, not even for contesting, but just because you want to get away from the contesters.
You're right. And there are obviously radios that have features that go beyond that. Like, let's take the 7300 as a baseline. We can actually take the 710 as a baseline as well. The FTDX10, that has filtering and capability in front of the SDR portion of it. And the MP101 or the FTDX101 takes that to another level. That has way more capability than the FTDX10, for instance. But it adds other capabilities for like other antenna inputs as well and all that other stuff. But most of the time it's generally going to come down to like which radio you like to operate and how you like to operate. A contester, if you're a contester, then everything I'm saying to you right now, you already understand, you already know what radios you like, you already know what radios you don't like. You're looking for very specific feature sets. That is, you're already you're deep in the rabbit hole, probably deeper than I am if you're an avid contester. So nothing I'm saying to you is like anything of value. But to anybody watching me that's like starting out in radio, thinking about dropping $1,000 or more on a radio, the question really is how do you interface it? How are you going to use it? That's the big thing to consider. It's always the most important thing to consider. What's the other thing I was going to say? Sherwood. What does Rob Sherwood use at his home? A 7610. and that's not on the top 10.
Yeah, and he told here he said on Ria's stream it's because he likes the interface.
That's it.
And so
That's it.
absolutely 100% you're right. The thing to me is I like learning new interfaces.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I have so many radios. I think there's a lot of us idiots out here who just like, oh, I've got a 101 now. I can spend another year learning another radio, and I really do feel that way.
Right.
So I don't get so hung up on the interfaces. I like all of them. From I love the ICOMs, I love the Yaesus, but to me, I guess because of what I've done all my life, I just feel more comfortable sitting in front of a screen controlling the radio. Anyway,
A monitor, like a computer monitor.
Yeah, computer monitor and controlling the radio through a GUI.
And to be honest with you, that's probably going to be the future that most of us end up in, because kids are going to get older.
Mm-hmm.
The 20-somethings are going to get older. We only know computers. We're just going to be like, oh, yeah, this is just natural for me. It's not surprising that it's going to go that way.
I'm surprised there isn't really like PCI Express ham radio add-in cards.
It's noisy.
Isn't that what the MB1 is?
Wait, wasn't there something like the Blade RF or something?
Well, there are several radios, including some of the Anons, but I would stay as far away from these as possible. But they have literally PCs built into them, and then they literally are cards that are installed in some of the slots. I don't know exactly which slots, and then there's the Sun MB1. And same thing. It's just basically a Windows 7 computer with a radio inside of it. So there are a couple that are like that. I just don't like buying a radio that, like, we still buy radios that are from 1970 or 1990 or whatever.
Right.
And buying a radio like that that's built on software that Microsoft is going to abandon, and then eventually the just like with all of these older radios, Yaesu's abandoned the 857. Well, yeah, but it still works. But if I get one that's built on a computer, I don't trust it to work anymore. 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road.
Hey, I still have my Commodore 64, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And
no,
I don't.
Don's talking about like software updates to the radio and compatibilities with interfacing
and parts.
Yeah. So that is a true point. Back in the day, like the parts that were in the box, that was the parts you had to worry about. And if you really loved your radio, you'd buy a couple of those radios as a backup radio and a hot spare, and you'd have extra parts potentially to swap out those things. Now it's like you not only have all that, but then you have all the interfacing options that may be how you're using it, which is going to be reducing your capabilities of keeping it on the air to just be like, well, screw it, I'll just go buy a new FT 5000D box, and then that's the thing that just goes, it's the new thing, put it up.
Well, I mean, didn't this happen recently when they changed when they changed 7 megs in Europe from 100 kilohertz wide to 200 kilohertz wide? All the manufacturers had to put out a whole load of new code to change so that change could be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically meant that all the older radios that had that not done in software had to be mechanically changed to do that change, where the software radios could just have a new EEPROM or something.
Hey, Mike, when did work bands come in?
I don't know, early 80s, I think.
Okay.
Or because I know they run all the radios I've used, so I've got radios without them. So
yeah, I've got a couple of older radios. I think one in particular that's old enough that it doesn't have the work bands, and to me that's like one of that's about as far back as I want to go. I always want to have the work band.
Let's see.
I remember seeing I remember seeing a TS-180 that actually had a kit to add the walk bands to it.
Mm-hmm. So there was a comment that came in from Empelhod Gaming. It says, I'm a total noob with ham radio and not sure what to look for in bands. Are some not really used? Should I care if it only has 2 bands? What are the popular ones? So the thing to keep in mind, if you're in the United States and as a technician, your primary bands are going to be 2 meters and 70 centimeters. You have access to 6 meters, but propagation-wise, it doesn't open up very often. And 10 meters is actually looking up, so you may want to consider 10 meters. It's more based on the solar cycle. It's definitely kind of a daytime band. So bands, when your line of sight, which is high frequency, VHF, UHF, they're not predicated on day or night cycles. They're just line of sight, and they just kind of blast out from your radio. Dual band, 2 meters, 70 centimeters, probably fine. If you want to start looking into HF, high frequency, where you have to refract your signal off the atmosphere, then that's when you want more bands, so that you can go to a high band or a low band depending on the time of day. So it depends. Your answer in ham radio most of the time is, it depends. It depends on the situation, context, etc. Generally, 2 meter and 70 centimeter mobile radio, handheld radio is fine for a technician starting out. If you want to explore some other options, then you can look into 10 meter radios, or more likely, I encourage you to get your general license. That's probably where you want to be at, is to just go ahead and upgrade to general if you want to experience the fun that is HF radio. There you go. Hopefully that answered the question. Sorry on the Discord, I just needed to jump in there and answer that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. And if you're a technician and you can do it, if you have a 10 meter radio, tomorrow get on it. You'll never hear the band is quite as busy as in CQ Worldwide.
Until next year.
Yeah, until next year.
And
next
the year after that will be even bigger. 2023, 24, and 25 are going to be the biggest years of ham radio we've ever seen. Well, in the last 10 years. I was there for the last solar cycle. But for those of people who joined ham radio in the last 5 years, this is going to be a completely different world to you all. A completely different world.
Yeah, that's the thing. In 1991, when I was first licensed and got on HF, I looked back, and that solar cycle was the greatest one that I've probably ever experienced.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it at the time.
Yeah, and
30 has been killing it.
So Nate's who is it? Nate's radio random videos. Life's too short for QRP. Here's the thing. In the next 3 years, it doesn't matter. When all those crazy antennas, like all those crazy antenna inventions people come up with, like, oh, I've got this, I take 2 hula hoops and I put them together and I put wire in the middle. All that stuff is possible when you're on a high sun cycle. It's just
So is it like you and your lawn chairs?
Yeah. My lawn chair dipole, that was on the low side of the sun cycle, and I still made contacts.
Did you see what Mike did with those crutches?
Oh yeah, the crutch dipole's been around for a while.
Yeah, or the power pole, the support for the power pole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that Mike did, and I would never say anything to him, but boy, connecting up to that power line's ground. Oh God, I was freaking out.
You're talking about KMRD?
Yeah. Did you see his video? Or you may not have.
I didn't.
There was a video where they were doing, and that was where they were talking about the crutch thing. And he went over with this girl, and they used the ground wire that was coming off a high or power line. I don't know that it was high power, but it was a power line. They were connecting to that, and it's like I've seen people killed touching those. I mean,
yeah, you shouldn't probably do that.
Yeah.
It was the support for the power pole, and it was insulated off. I was there. This is Heath here. Hi.
Oh hey.
Hi Heath. And I saw in the in some of the results the Hermes was out there somewhere.
Yeah, I had mine set up in the just as a demo in one of the living rooms there. I use it to make a couple of hunting contacts for POTA and stuff. But yeah, I made 5 watts to Colorado one day. That was cool. But yeah, so I had it up demonstrating on the big screen TV. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Josh really needs to see one of those.
What's that?
A Hermes.
The Hermes Light 2. I say you put on your video, but you can't buy them anymore. So I feel bad putting them out on videos because everybody wants one and you can't get one.
I think they are. I mean, I just bought one a few months back, and I think you're going to see them again because there are people now that are still beating on maker fabs, asking when the next batch is going to be. So even though that guy's not still around, I thought once he was gone that was it. But then, back in August they rolled out 25 more. So.
Yeah, Steve, he left claiming he's leaving the project, but he still posts on the mailing list.
Mm-hmm.
And his latest report from Maker Fabs is they're looking for the FPGAs. They're looking for a supplier for those. So I think they've got all the rest of the bits. So as soon as they find enough of those, they're going to do another run.
Does the Hermes Light run on the Cyclone?
I don't think it is. I'm trying to remember what I can tell.
I think it is. It's a Cyclone 3, isn't it? He's talking about that chip that's inside of it. I thought it was a Cyclone 3.
But okay.
I can look it up and come back to you. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, basically it's a cable modem chip, but actually that's the same chip that is in the Onan, because the Onan is basically it's the internal board in an Onan started out as a Hermes, and they've just been modifying and enhancing that ever since. Now there's a lot more circuitry around an actual Hermes. Now I have a Hermes on order, which is from Apache Labs. They still build those. Now they claim now no more. They're not taking any more orders for Hermes, but I have one on order that they took back in August, and I got the 10-watt board for it. So I'm gonna. I just found out that HRO sells the or the Apache Labs, and they supposedly they have a 7,000 DLE, and I'm really thinking about buying it.
Well, that would certainly put a smile on whoever's working at HRO that day.
Yeah. Well, it's supposedly they've got one up in Milwaukee, but it's that green check mark, but it's not the solid green one.
Hey,
So
I could go there and see if it's actually there. I live not so far from there, 40-minute drive.
yeah, I can call. But I haven't decided whether I really want to do that. I really want it, but and the 7,000 is one of the ones where you can run it from a computer. It does not have the built-in computer.
So when I was down there about a week ago, I went to pick up like an FTMT 100. They had that Apache Labs controller, and I couldn't really tell what they had it hooked up to, but I think it was that one that they say they have in stock. I think it's like a store unit or something. They had it all set up and everything.
So what's the deal with the controller? Is it kind of like a Flex controller? Flex Maestro?
Kind of, but because it does have. I mean, you have to be on a network to use it. So yeah, it's kind of like it.
Well, there's some differences there, because the Hermes Light and the Anon and those ones, they speak Open HBSDR, and that is basically what the radio is doing, is sending IQ signals stuffed in UDP packets through the network.
Okay.
The one controller that Apache had is based actually on a Raspberry Pi, and it's running Pi HBSDR, which I've seen before. I don't know if I've seen their other one. But like the Hermes Light 2, the Hermes, and a couple of the Anons, they don't have computers. They just, the FPGA puts all the I/O data and all that stuff out onto the network, and then you have to have a full computer that decodes it and stuff. So, But yeah, and just another couple points. So it is a Cyclone 4 FPGA in the Hermes Lite 2. But the Hermes that you bought, Don, and the Hermes Lite 2 and the Anons, they use different A to C converters. The Hermes Lite 2 uses a 12-bit cable modem, and the other ones use, I think, a 14-bit ADC chip.
And then the radios, I believe, run a 16-bit ADC.
Yeah, so they're more money. I mean, that ADC is nicer. You get more dynamic range with it, and that's how come the Hermes Lite is so inexpensive, is because it uses that modem, cable modem chip.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the board on the Hermes and even in the old Anons, they were using the same that same chip. But it's a different version of the same chip. It's still a Cyclone 4, but it's got a different, and they put tons more circuitry around it too, more filtering and stuff like that. So, the one I bought, it was only $399, and I think the Hermes is now $349. So it's a $50 difference, but there's a significant amount more circuitry on the Anon, and the Anon the Anon version is not as easily plug and play.
No. I want the Anon DLE 6000 for my mobile radio. It's got diversity receive and the whole bit in it. So,
yeah. Well, I'd love to be able to get a hold of a 200D, but I don't think I'll ever find one. So I mean, I wouldn't mind a 7000, but and in fact, the when I'd looked at the 7000s, I thought they were $4,000, but I think those are the ones with the embedded PC, and I don't want a PC in it.
I think
an old ass PC too, right?
Yeah, they're pretty modern because they're building them now. So I think it's a fairly the 7000 is a fairly new radio. The 6000 I think is older, but the 6000 doesn't have a built-in computer, and so in fact the one at HRO right now they're saying doesn't have built-in computer, like that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
So
I'm going to jump in here because we're talking about pretty esoteric computers or radios a little bit. I want to answer some questions. K1MAZ asked, just hoping on a quick great. Sorry, thanks K1MAZ, thanks for the comment, but TE5LA recommendations if I wanted a base station and wanted to spend $500 to $600 for radio only. Shegu G90.
G90. Hell yes.
There it is. There's your answer.
Or if the 891 goes on sale.
Or an 891 on sale. A used 891. If you could get a used 891, you're probably better off with a used 891, but the Shegu is more versatile.
Yep.
How much is the 6111 or whatever the other Zygu, the 6100?
6100? Oh, the 6100 that would fit in that space too. I'm not a big 6100 fan.
You get a
718
10
for
watts, but
what's cool about the 6100 is you can hack it and like actually run WSJTX on it.
What?
I'm not a big fan of the 6100.
It runs Linux.
Yeah, TO's got like lots of stuff running on that radio inside it.
So I'm gonna say TE5LA. I'm not gonna say Tesla. I'm not a fan of evil Musk. He can pack it in for as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe it's Nikoid Tesla.
No, he had the logo of the automobile company, so I think I know what he's a fan of. Let that sink in. That's what I'll say. I like what he's doing with Twitter. I'm objective. I like what he's doing with Twitter, but I don't like the man.
Why?
Why? He's a charlatan. He's a fake guru, fake genius, poses himself to be something smarter than he is.
You mean like Bill Gates?
Fine, that's fine. You can throw him in there too, but I'm talking about specifically Musk. And
no, I get it.
Didn't create Tesla. had the creators stricken from the books, made himself the creator, never invented Tesla. He bought a company. He was lambasted by every person that is of an equal level of him that has ever had to work with him as a complete jackass. Nobody likes working with the guy. The Hyperloop, go read the original white paper for the Hyperloop. Total garbage. Total
Bullshit.
garbage. Total bullshit.
But the Falcon 9, I mean, come on, that was a good idea.
He's a Bond villain. He's a Bond. He wants to be a Bond villain.
The military came up with the idea.
And well, the thing is, I don't like Steve Jobs. I don't like. I don't like Bill Gates. They're basically the same thing.
I'm not even going to disagree with you on that. But the difference is that all of those people, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, actually created something. Bill Gates worked. Bill Gates created.
Wozniak and Paul Allen created the stuff.
Well,
no, they bought it from somebody else. Y'all know that.
So Bill Gates did modify the DOS program on a plane over to sell it when they bought QDOS or whatever it was. And yes, Steve Jobs was largely the marketing guy. Wozniak built most of the stuff.
Wozniak did all the work.
That's true. But Steve Jobs was a mastermind of marketing. So yes.
You got to give Elon credit for like willing to risk like every dollar he had. So he's got some pretty big
dollar he had.
Can I rebut that with all of the money that he spends is based off of government subsidies. Almost everything he does is backed by our government. The guy is subsidized so deep by our government that it's insane. Go ahead.
Don't hate the player?
No, somebody jump in. It's fine. Yes, of course, he's put a lot of money into things. Sure. But to pretend that he's not like subsidized or backed up by government contracts that he's cooked up, again, I'm not saying we should shame him for playing the game. He's playing the game. I just don't like him. I just don't like him. I don't like the things he does. I don't like what he's built. I don't like the concept that he thinks is great. Like, literally, the Hyperloop is all I need to know about him. When I read that almost 10 years, how long is that? 5 years ago? 6 years ago? That I read the Hyperloop, like, this guy's a charlatan. He's a technocrat charlatan.
It's a load of bunk.
They've
been looking at making vacuum tube transport for 100 years, and the reason we haven't doesn't is because it's shit. But did you know that Steve Jobs actually had to change his name after he died?
No, what did he change?
And now I have to call him Steve Retired.
Okay.
I knew that was coming.
Thank you.
Dad joke.
Really?
But
we definitely need some Australians.
That's bad luck for me.
We did need some Australians in the after chat for some levity. So thank you. I appreciate that.
But Gates and Jobs and Musk. Yeah, I get those guys, but no, Linus Torvalds did actually create something, and he is borderline genius.
Yeah.
So I would not lump him. Somebody mentioned that in the chat. I wouldn't lump him in with any of those guys. He actually does stuff. And he's not gotten rich off of what he's done either.
So the thing with Torvalds is he knows how to get out of the way and let other people use their experience. You know, he let other people write the harder parts because he knew he couldn't do it. So he just got out of the way and tried to make the best things come forward.
I mean, you can kind of say the same thing with Wozniak then in that case, right? I mean, like obviously Wozniak kind of peaked in the beginning of Apple, and he was kind of there for, you know, some technical capability, but it's not. They've evolved so much farther than that since he was there. But they all deserve credit. Torvald definitely, like he's high on the mantle of people who deserve an incredible amount of respect for what they've provided to all of us. You know.
And what's that other guy's name? Because there is one guy within that whole infrastructure that everybody hates. And he's the one that actually wrote the GNU stuff. And he was so pissed at Torvalds for creating Linux when he wanted to release Stallman. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's an ass.
Yeah. Well, Torvalds is too, if you get on his bad side. And I don't blame him in some cases. And I've heard that about.
I don't want to get on his bad side. I like using Kubuntu.
Ubuntu is not the Linux. Linux is the kernel, and pretty much all of the programs that are running on it. But the flavors, like Ubuntu, Debian, etc., those are just flavors of the same thing.
Yeah, but without the kernel, you can't fry the chicken.
Well, true, and the kernel is his, but it's not. It's not Ubuntu's.
The problem with Stallman is he's like, I equate him to like a libertarian of the open source community, you know?
Well, I kind of like that part of it. I like.
Stallman's probably the smartest of the whole bunch as far as as far as a programmer goes. Stallman, he's more of a programmer than Torvalds. And Torvalds, I mean, look at Bill Gates. All he did was he wrote Microsoft Basic. That's all the guy did. He wrote like a 2K Basic. So I'm not going to say anything more about him. Wozniak, he did the disk drive, the Apple II disk drive. That was his claim to fame.
Yeah,
and that was actually a really, really good design for the controller of that.
He did a lot of the board work too.
So what I meant by the libertarian thing was great idea, really poor execution and way too much infighting.
Oh, so many people are posting comments right now. I'm not going to read all that, James. Someone will, but I won't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know what Stallman's deal is that everything should be completely 100% free. And the way that Torvalds actually approached it was the better way, which is, look, I'm going to release this stuff for free, and I'm going to license it such that, if you modify it or something, you have to give the code away. But other than that, you can sell it, and make money off of it. And that's the right way to do it. Stallman wants to basically say, look, you can't touch any of the stuff I've done and sell it for any amount of money. And okay, that's a fine, upstanding thing, but that's just going to mean that it dies on the vine.
Let's put it this way. Microsoft in-house pretty much uses Linux for everything, so I'm thinking he won.
Well, and the NT system that they were so proud of was actually a re-roll of VAX, the VAX code that DEC had. So, I mean, I really don't have much respect for Microsoft.
Well, Apple's even based off of Linux, so you got to Unix, but
Apple is
Unix, but a lot of the shell is the same.
You know what?
Apple is BSD Unix.
Unix was
so BSD is like West Coast Unix.
Berkeley
Linux
Standard
Division. Yeah,
Berkeley
Linux
Standard
is like East
distribution.
Coast.
This is like West Coast Moog synthesizers versus like East Coast Euro rack synthesizers. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is like
East Coast Polyfusion.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? Like the reason why like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates are the ones that made all the money was because that they integrated it. And I get it that it's not them doing all the work, but you could even argue that they didn't even have the vision that brought the products to market. Sure, whatever. But it's not like these esoteric like languages or esoteric operating systems that is the thing that drives humanity. It's how it gets all put together. That's always what drives the thing as being a benchmark of a good product or a bad product. It's how it all gets to put together and how human beings can interface it. Why was the Newton a failure? Well, lots of reasons, but the Newton was unequivocally a failure. But then Steve Jobs comes back, and then you get things like the iPhone and the iPad, which are unequivocally the driving force of how cell phones and tablets are today, right? So did Steve Jobs design that and code those things? No. But you could see the lineage of things like the iPod, which turned into the iPhone, turned into the iPad, etc., etc. So did he design all that? No, but he was definitely involved in the process along with probably thousands of other people. And it's not necessarily what operating system in the purest sense they were running. It's that they made a thing that sold billions, and that's why they are the billionaire companies that they are today. It's how you integrate. Integration is always the most important thing.
It's not even a good thing. It's just a thing they marketed really well.
The thing that Jobs did really well
It's a
was
pretty
he could
good
see
thing.
the potential in things, and he could piece different things together and make it into a cohesive whole, and then sell that. Because like
people buy whole things. People want whole products. They don't want They want half-ass products. They want whole products.
They want the ecosystem.
Right.
Well, it's like he took the tablets and he added multi-touch to them. Like they bought multi-touch and then copyrighted it and made it so no one else could really use it,
and a good app store. And a good app store.
And he was able to figure these things out and piece them together in a way that made sense to the public. Because all the things that iPhone and all that does, people have done before. They just didn't do it as well.
They didn't integrate it into a product. That's really what it comes down to, honestly.
Because I
when's Mark going to pop up and talk about how his BlackBerry was better than an iPhone?
Yeah, I just
originally they were.
I kind of miss mine.
I think that like everybody who hates Apple like unequivocally hates them. I feel like there's a whole lot of emotion behind it and not a lot of objectivity. So I have both Android phone and iPhone. I have PCs and Linux, and I edit all my videos on a Mac OS platform. My primary phone is an iPhone. I feel like there's a lot of like emotion. There's fanboyism behind so many of these arguments, and it's not actually based off the objectivity of doing things. You may be a consumer of things, and you like to consume preferably on Android or iPhone, but like for people that actually make things, you just pick the best tool for you, and that's the tool you use. And it's not like a big like shit post or mudslinging in the comments. It's purely like, how do I get the job done? How do I get the job done efficiently and effectively and get on with my life? Get back to my kids and get back to life. The iPhone works great for me. I can do tons of B-roll and tons of little, weird little pictures that I take for my videos, and I can edit really well on the Mac OS. Do I want to live stream on that platform all the time? No, that's why I use Windows. I'm literally on Windows right now, right? So it's just picking the right tool. If everybody just gets rid of all this like fanboyism they have for brands, I think the quality of everyone's experience is going to go way up, because too many people are so focused on brands and focused on like, oh, this one's bad. Everybody's more focused on bad brands than they're focused on the mediocre nature of the brands that they accept the quality and content for. We all need to just objectively go towards the thing that best suits the job that we're going to do. Whether it's consuming content or creating content, I don't really care. Just go with the ones that are the best ones, that do the job for you, that get you back to your regular life as fast as possible.
Well, what finally got me on board with Apple was editing 4K H.265 video. Doing it on an M1 literally took a quarter of the time it took on a Windows
It's amazing.
machine.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
Insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, my little 13-inch MacBook can render video better than my $10,000 desktop server. It's insanity.
Yeah, I went from a super expensive like lightweight Lenovo laptop that I was editing on, and I got that 13-inch MacBook Pro M1, the first one. Just blew the doors off of it, and it actually streamed better. But the audio interface capabilities is really bad on Apple. They're horrible for audio on live stream. I don't like. Go ahead.
I just picked up an M from work. I just got my refresh, and I went from a PC to an M2, a 13-inch M2. And I'm impressed. I'm still getting used to a lot of it, but for the M2s, the battery
Have any
life.
of you taken the time to look at the mobile benchmarks?
Not really, but the battery life is insane.
Yeah, the battery life's insane.
Yeah, the battery life's nuts, and then like the rendering video is just, and then the fact that everything just works.
You kind of, and maybe it's because I got older. I think it's a byproduct of me getting older that it's like I don't want to fiddle with crap anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fairly specific set of things I need to do. I need to take, and honestly, I ended up spending more money on cameras and stuff and lenses and all this stuff just to make better YouTube videos because it's like I want to shoot a video. I want to get it into my workflow as fast as possible. I want to cut it down and edit it and just get it out there as fast as I can. I'm still going to do all the normal things I want to do, like to the video content, but I want to just like get on with it. I'm not going to tinker. I'm not going to F around with all of it. I just want to get it out. And the Apple architecture for a lot of that stuff is just easier. It just is. For me, other people have found a workflow that works for them using Android and other things and other editors. And that's great. I'm not taking anything away. But see, that's the big thing. I'm not saying you're wrong. My comment is, oh, Apple's the best and you're wrong. That's the problem. It's like we get in all these comments on the internet. It's like everybody wants to tell you how your way is wrong and their way is better. It's like, well, you don't know me. You don't know that I've tried Adobe. You don't know that I've tried all these other systems. Like my experience and my way of doing it is my own way. And that's just it. Like I'm okay with you liking your way and me liking my way, and then that's fine. And we're just like, we're good. We could just be friends. That's cool.
Oh, on a funny note, Josh, I did FT8 on my Steam Deck the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
I still haven't made the video on it because the audio implementation of it is such a mess. Are you actually able to transmit with audio?
Yeah. I was able to get everything to work. Yeah.
When did you do it?
Audio.
When did you with Pulse? When did you do it?
Yeah, did about a week ago.
There must have been an update then. I'm guessing there was an update to the OS because I had like 3 of the admins in the room and we're all trying to fix my Steam Deck to be able to do FT8 and it does perfect cat control, but the audio's all screwed up. So maybe there's an improvement there. So good, I'll make that video next week then if that's working. So yeah, there's the real. So every. Do you want to know what is the most hipster product that any of you people can go buy right now? It is the Steam Deck. It's running Arch Linux. Do you want to be an Arch Linux user? Go buy yourself a Steam Deck and plug that into your ham radio.
Hey,
you can literally be.
Put Windows 10 on it.
You can literally be the most hipster-ass ham radio operator ever. You're using a game console running Arch Linux to do FT8 on your ham radio. Like, I can't think of anything that's so more ridiculous than that. Steam Deck's amazing. I absolutely love that thing.
Oh, I love mine, and I think that it's actually going to be what finally brings Linux forward.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be the thing that breaks people out of the Raspberry Pi world. I think the Raspberry Pi was the introduction to Linux. The problem with Raspberry Pi is that it's slow. It's very slow. It's not rewarding. Oh my god.
It was
There we go.
Do you guys listen to Linux in the Ham Shack?
I do sometimes.
Oh, it's tough for me. I'm not a Linux person, but it's interesting to listen to the concepts that these guys come out.
It is.
So,
it is.
The problem with the Pi right now is they're rare. I mean, a Raspberry Pi Zero right now is selling for $80 because they're so hard to find.
The Zeros are? I'm sitting on a stockpile of those damn things.
Yeah.
Well,
my club wanted me to do a tutorial for the Hamfest so they could do it at the deal on how to make a MMDVM. And so I'm going through and I'm looking up the parts, and freaking Raspberry Pi Zeros, when you can find them, are like $86, $87. It's insanity.
That's
right
insane.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I bought mine, they were like $15 with the headers already soldered on.
So I bought an older off-lease Dell laptop with like a 7th or 8th gen i5 in it. I have that running as my Pi server, I paid less for that laptop without a battery than I did when I sold my Pi 4 for. And it does the same functions and more.
You get a damn Jankopotamus for $60.
Well, you can't make a hotspot for that.
You can't run Plex on a Jankopotamus.
Those
it
are
always comes back
esoteric.
to the Jankopotamus.
Those are esoteric niche things. So yes,
Yeah,
sure.
It's more of a
sure.
server. I have
Yeah.
Before Jankopotamus, I have my Surface for my ham radio stuff. My Surface is my ham radio laptop.
By the way, those Jankopotamuses are starting to go up because they're not available anymore.
Yeah, but even if they go up, what are they going to go up to? Like $80?
Well, but the only place they can get them is if you decide to sell yours.
Oh, okay. Well,
so that's the reason they're going up. Not
I
because anybody's got them. But,
I bought deep into Jankopotamus futures. So
yes,
it's a commodity
the only
market for me.
The point is they're 12-volt chargeable. I mean, other than
right.
that, they're
yes.
Yeah,
right. Yes, 100%.
And unlike the Surfaces, you guys can just chop it in half and put a wire on. I have to have a special cable for mine, but my Surface.
You know what? Okay, and Julian, you may see this. So Julian, OH8STN, here's something for you. I agree with you that the Surface is a better platform for like ham radio. I think it is, but it's only got one port, and that's the thing. I don't know how he got behind it. I don't know how he got behind it, except I know he uses a hub. I think he uses a hub that he can route his power through. So he has probably a good hub.
Well, the Surface has 2 ports, 3 ports. It's got the audio in and out, TRRS audio. It's got the Surface charging, which is a magnetic charger. So that's what I use.
It's that little stick thing, right?
Yeah, it's the little stick that sort of sticks into the side of it.
Yeah.
And then you can do USB-C. So what I do when we were up at Pack Beach with K-Mirror stuff is my digi-rig is the USB-C, and then I had my Surface charger. I have a Surface to car charger that I was charging off of, and then the keyboards are all wireless. So
my Surface,
so you had a 12-volt converter, is what you had.
Mine runs off 12-volt. No, it doesn't. I'll send you. I'll send you, because you're using a 7. The Go-2s and the older ones can get away with 12 volts.
Wait, how? How did you do that?
So the Go-2 is a smaller, the one that Julian uses. And
That's what I have.
Are the Go-2s.
Yeah.
There's a car charger that is literally, because you can use
like a 12-volt plug.
Yeah. It's a 12-volt car charger to USB Surface, and it is noiseless. Let me look up my Amazon and I'll grab it.
So what do you plug it into?
I just have a cigarette lighter to power pull.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just plug that into the thing.
Okay.
I have a Y adapter for my battery, but
see that starts to go back to this whole thing of like more wires, more crap.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
honestly, and I'm not Julian. Again, I'm not calling you out here, but like I think you and I were on the same page of like let's cut down on wires. Like the whole game, like my whole game has been cutting down on wires. I think that's why we both like the 705 so much at the end of the day, is that we can just wirelessly connect to it.
But if I've already got a laptop that uses USB-C, an Apple laptop that uses USB-C as a charger, and I can plug it into a 12-volt power supply, car charger looking thing, that does the same thing. Granted, it does have to go through some electronics, but
it's a step up.
And it's a whole lot better computer.
Mine is the Pro 8. It's not the 7. But Josh, did you watch that video I did on that power bank I got? That Shark Geek Storm 2?
I did not.
Okay, so what's cool about that is it has a DC out barrel plug. And you can actually set the whatever voltage you want on it from like 1 to 24. So I actually use that to power my 705 and power my Surface. And it's like 2,800 milliamp hours or 28,000 milliamp hours. I ran for about 4 hours with my 705 and the Surface on it.
Good. Yeah. So, okay. I hope everybody's getting to where I'm going with this, though, is that like the future goal is to like cut down on all of this. And oddly enough, that $60 laptop fits really nicely into that whole world because it's just 12 volts native.
Yeah, it's great.
That's
you can just chop it in half and then slap power poles in between the two. the two halves you just chopped out.
You're done, and you go in the field.
Yeah,
you got a charge controller, and that's it. Like if you're running a solar, it's hard to beat that. I would like to see more native 12-volt systems like that for ham radio operators, where you just have you could have an esoteric coaxial power connector or whatever. I don't care, but once you get it into it, if it just takes the 12 volts, you're good. You're done. And oddly enough, a lot of the cheap laptops do that. Like Dave Canterbury randomly went into a Walmart, got an HP laptop that just takes 12 volts. It's like, okay, cool. Like it charges off of 12 volts. Yeah, more native 12-volt laptops. That's what we need.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised there isn't more of them.
There are. You have to go for like the lower power procs, like the Evolves have and stuff, like the Celerons or the Pentiums. It's all about the
future is the Jankopotamus.
Well,
I would love to
PC
know
hardware
the
Pentiums, baby, or lower anyway.
You don't need much power for ham radio though. That's the point, right? At the end of the day, you don't need that. You don't need a lot.
I mean, the Jankopotamus is about as powerful as a Pi. Oh my!
I feel like it's more. I feel like it runs more consistently.
It's
faster.
Yeah, it's got a bit more floating.
I mean, it's been a while since I was in school and I got my A+ and all that. But correct me if I'm wrong. But isn't almost all PC hardware 12 volts and below anyway?
Sort of. It's the wattage. It's 12, 5.5, 12, 5, and 3.3 effectively is what 90% of the hardware inside a desktop is. However,
that's true of all electronics.
However, the issue is wattage. And when
Yeah.
you're talking laptops, especially, you have a battery to charge as well, plus the wattage. So bringing up a 19 volt, something at 19 volts at so many watts is more efficient than doing it. And then dropping it down 12 volts through VRMs is easier than doing 12 volts at 40 amps.
Take into account the screen backlights too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then a lot of even the desktops are 12 volts and 3.3 and 5 volts.
Yeah, I mean
the difference is the amount of things that are there on the motherboard to be powered, plus the things that you plug into the slots. So they have to provide sufficient amperage.
So have people seen, sort of PC related, has anyone seen what is happening to the 4090s by NVIDIA? The people are basically having their Molex connectors
melting?
Like the ones provided by NVIDIA.
Yeah, so they're these basically the Molex, like like almost a JST or Molex. They're more like a Molex. They're 12-pin Molex connectors, and I think they're 500. It's a 500 watt draw.
600 watt.
So a 600 watt draw, and it is melting one of the pins. Like there are pictures where the adapter, because it goes from 4 to 1. 12 volts.
Okay.
So 4 for 1, but it's melting. People are like posting pictures on Reddit of this pin melting. It is pulling at 600 watts because it's so badly constructed.
Well, I think the issue is their manufacturing, because a lot of places have switched where they're manufacturing stuff. So it's probably just they hired a place that's cutting corners.
Yeah, but this is NVIDIA's own cables. This isn't lookalike aftermarket ones.
Yeah,
these are NVIDIA-made cables that are supplied with a $1,600 card. That if you move the wrong way, snap the connectors off inside the socket, inside the plug, and then cause your graphics card to melt the whole thing together as a gelatinous mess.
Yeah, I get that, but they still use contract manufacturers. They don't really produce the stuff on their own. They come up with the designs and then they have someone else put it together in China or Taiwan or wherever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you think you'd have QA at least with $1,600?
I mean, because that's been NVIDIA's market for the longest time. Is they come up with a reference design and then they license that out to other manufacturers and then they produce the cards.
What's crazy is that this is like a system integrator normal thing that happens, but it's like it's NVIDIA. It's not a third party.
But Wes, typically, yeah, like I'd say China or whoever bad QA because you're going to partners. This is reference cards coming from NVIDIA that were failing. Like they're NVIDIA's reference cards, and
Yeah, but they don't have factories. They hire another place to build it, is what I'm saying. Like NVIDIA doesn't have their own fab and factory. They still go to like Foxconn and have them build the actual.
Yeah, but Wes, what's your point? Like, it's bad. This is bad. This shouldn't happen.
Well, my point is,
it shouldn't happen
because of the pandemic and all the production stuff. People have had to
switch
who they use to make stuff, and they probably just got a bad contractor that was skimping on parts.
AMD's not had this issue. I mean, really, I've worked with NVIDIA. They haven't. I doubt they're switching from generation to generation of who they're switching connectors for.
Well,
I think
AMD isn't using a proprietary connector, right?
I think they're just using bad power assumptions, saying, okay, 12, let's do 12 volts and throw so many amps inside a hot area, and it's just a lot of thermal issues.
Could be.
NVIDIA is not making these connectors. I mean, there's some other company making these connectors.
I don't know that it's a connector problem.
To me.
No, what it is a construction issue.
Yes.
Where because you got 6 rows of 6, and what somebody took the plug apart, and they've worked out that there's 4 wires coming in on there's on each side. So they've got this like soldered bus that they're soldering them to, and if it's not done very well, it's basically a piece of foil joining the pins together. The top row are positive, the bottom row are negative. The negative, the positives are snapping off and leaving just the top positive is snapping off, just leaving the negatives.
So what they're doing is they're basically saying we're going to take like 26 gauge on the card side, 18 gauge maybe on the Molex side, and praying that it stays together.
Yep. And if you bend that plug the wrong way, it breaks one of the conductors. And instead of having 6 pins carrying the 600 watts, you now only have 5 pins carrying the 600 watts.
And you're scraping along like at the bare minimum. It's like throwing your dryer on 14 gauge, 12 gauge, or 14 gauge or 16 gauge, and praying it works.
So
they may as well just put power poles on top of the cord, on top of the card, and be done with it, because these are only plus or minus. These are just plus 12 volts. There's no other voltages on these. They're just plus 12.
Someone tried that, I think, and I think there are sense pins we have to do in a specific.
Yeah, but the sense pins detect whether the negative is there, not whether the positive is there. So if you break the positives off, the sense pins don't do their job, and this is why it's allowing 600 watts to go across 5 pins instead of
for $1,600. I will test this experiment, or whatever the price of the card is. Just send them my Kickstarter. I will experiment this with power poles, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah, so I mean, saying that
power poles.
This plug wasn't designed by NVIDIA. It's an idea of the PCI stroke Intel people who are the people who set the standards for cards.
Yeah.
So I remember reading somewhere that they're going to be going away from the ATX standard for power supply soon, and everything's going to be like everything will be 12 volts.
Yes. Intel's doing that.
I've got a 4090, and I got the Asus Strix one, and trust me, I have a fire extinguisher sitting next to my machine.
Good man.
Get custom make cables made from power mod.
Well, cable mod
and turn it off.
Cable mod,
sorry.
Go to grid.
We don't make it for the EVGA power supply.
RDNA 2 for the win.
They are doing the 12 volt standard. I think Intel's currently leading it. It's very early adoption, but yeah, basically moving all the VRMs from inside the power supply and just saying 12 volts straight to the board, and then doing step down VRMs as needed for CPU, RAM, or whatever.
Hey, also, my family's gotten back. We're gonna try and watch a movie before the end of the night here, so I'm gonna peace out at this point. Next week, patron picks episode, so make sure to tune in for that.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
I got good news.
Yes.
I tuned up my NFET half-wave.
So what was the problem?
I was missing that link that Mike was talking about.
That's it.
Never doubt him.
Yeah. I mean, it was about 2-to-1 on 10 meters for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because of how low it was to the ground.
Yeah, or the length of wire.
On 40 meters, that thing works great.
There you go. Okay, good.
Good deed for the day.
There you go, Mike. You did it.
And can I throw a quick one at you too?
Yeah.
Ham radio related. Look at the picture in the that I dropped.
I see it. Okay.
Okay, so I bought an MFJ Moxon, and they shorted me two of the tubes.
Okay.
So if you see right there that brown thing or black or whatever it is that's going between those two tubes.
Is it a tent pole?
No, it's a Gocher section. So I took one of my Gochers apart and I used that to brace it up. And then I have just a wire going across that, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. I see.
So what do you think?
See it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to see. I'm sorry, but so you think I can run 1,000 watts through that?
Through that wire? I don't know. That looks pretty thin.
Don, go get some like 4 gauge or 6 gauge. But then yes, the plastic.
I don't think you need
a bad idea.
I don't think you need 4 or 6 gauge. You can probably get away with 16 gauge.
Just buy some DX10.
That's about 16 gauge wire.
Is it? Okay, maybe I can't see it. Okay, maybe I can't see it. Try it.
It's just
try it.
Well, I already have tried it. I've been using it today.
Oh,
but
okay.
Y'all started talking about melting stuff, and I was like, oh yeah. But anyway, I mean, yeah. So I made do because MFJ is going to ship me those two rods,
right,
and hopefully that'll make it better. But it's tuning up fine on 10 meters, which is what that is. It's a 10-meter Moxon.
Okay,
but I don't know. Like right now, it's kind of narrow. I've got about 200 kilohertz of bandwidth.
Okay.
Which seems a little weird. So I hope when I get that tube, it'll increase the bandwidth. But that is actually on the director, right? Or is it the reflector?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually on the reflector side. I figured out, oh, wait a minute. And if I'm missing those, I can create basically a dipole out of it, which is what I did. I created a dipole, and then I said, well, I've already got all this other tubing on there. Why not go ahead and try to see if I can complete the reflector? And it seems to be working, but like I said, the bandwidth is not what I would expect. Because on my 6-meter Moxon, I get all of 50 to 54 megahertz.
Oh, so you think if they get you that other piece, you'll gussy up your bandwidth there a bit?
Yeah, because that was one of the reasons I got it, because the DX Commander, honestly, and I don't know how many of you guys have those, but on 10 meters, I have never gotten much bandwidth on 10. It tunes fine, but it does not go. I mean, I can't even, if I'm in the FT8 portion, I cannot be in the voice portion. It's too high on the amplifier. Yeah.
Maybe you should try an experiment one day, since it's only 10 foot tall, isn't it? That DX Commander 10-meter wire. Perhaps you should change out the wire for like odd gauge, just to see if it makes a difference. Just for a bit of fun one day. Put up get the crocky clips from your jump starter. Use those.
There you go.
I don't know what those are, but okay.
Alligator clips, crocky clips.
When you got the cables you use for jump starting your car, just find one of those that's like 9 foot tall, and there you go. You got homebrew add-on.
There you go.
10-meter kit.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you what I did do. I went to the hardware store and I found an 8-foot piece of aluminum rod, and I put that on there. However, it never tuned, and so I had a hell of a time tuning it, because it's not 8 foot. It's 8 foot in like so many inches. And so
it's about 8'6", I think.
Yeah, exactly. So to get the extra 6 inches on there, I don't have a welder or anything. So
that's what your crocodile. That's what your the Jubilee clips are for.
Yeah, that's what I did, and it just never really held together well. And
well.
So, but that was my thought, was get a tube or a round, a much bigger round aluminum rod rather than just using the 10-meter wire, because the wire just does not give you bandwidth.
Well, it's like you get. What I've got here is I've got a CB antenna that's like a straight quarter wave made out of 2 pieces of stainless steel, and I was going to try that.
And by the way, I mean, I won a cage dipole kit from. It was part of this like mystery box that Ham Radio Dude got, and so I won it. Right, I've actually built a 10-meter cage dipole. Because what you want is
like
you want from 10, you want from 28 to 30.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
I like getting up in the FM portion of the band. Yeah. And I want to be low.
Well, I can do that with the Step IR. I can do that with the Step IR.
Because it moves, but yeah.
All right, I gotta go, guys. I gotta head out. So I thank you so much for hanging out. Enjoy your Halloween weekend. I know pretty much for everybody, Saturday is the high life. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch up with you next week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll talk to you on the Discord later. Thanks for hanging out. You guys don't have to go. Hang out. Keep talking ham radio. But I gotta head out. So I'll talk to you later.
CQ Worldwide.
CQ Worldwide. That's it. Get in there. Get your DX contacts. All right, so we're wrapping things up. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry I'm heading out a little bit early, but it is Halloween, and we are in the midst of construction. So I apologize that this is like the most that I could put together. My little poppy, Is this not? Oh, this camera's not even connected anymore. What's going on there? Ah! It's not updating. The camera's not connected anymore. That's funny. Oh, oh well. Well, we're just going to leave it at that. That's kind of funny. I don't know what happened to that, but that's what happens when you go live. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Next weekend, we'll be doing the Patron Picks episode. Reminder to all, 50 people that are still watching. If you're a local to California, come out for a day. Hang out with us, the K6 ARK Thomas Mountain camp out that we're doing. I'll have the Buddy Hex out there, my Go Box, among other antennas. It's going to be a lot of fun, so maybe consider joining us. All right, thanks so much for watching. We'll wrap it up with the memes, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. Thank you.